We're live. Okay. Awesome. Do I want to bring this up a little bit, maybe? Okay. Um. Also, am I doing this right? Hold on. Why is this not working? Working. Okay. I've started the live, but is why does it say waiting? Like I'm here. Hmm. This is weird. Why? It still says waiting for Mari Chan. That's so odd. I'm literally live right now. Okay. Oh, hi. How are you? Um, I'm just trying to figure life out because like I always like to check and make sure everything is working. And it's saying like on something else that yes, you did get here first. It's saying like waiting for Mari Chan. And I'm like, why are you waiting for me on YouTube? Like I'm live. So why isn't it starting like on this? Mm, or are my devices just being weird? I really don't know. Hold on. Because I always just like to check and make sure everything is working. Let me exit out of this. Oi, mi cama. Okay, looks like there it is. It said, "Oh my," that's new. Literally scrolled into detox from life and was like, "Wait, what now?" Yes, yep, we are live. I did notice something odd about um, YouTube. It seems like they don't send notifications for lives. Like I, I don't understand. um, and until like the person is live, which to me it's like if someone creates a live and then they have like a start time, why isn't it just like, well, starting from that point? That I do not. Okay, there, now I checked and my volume is good. So yeah, like I don't get that. Or maybe I shouldn't be inputting like a start time and then I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go along. But anyway, how are you doing this morning? Or it's morning for me. It's 9 a.m. So I don't know what time it is for you. Um, but how are you doing? I guess I'll say anyway. Um, and let me just make sure that all of my okay, we're good. I feel like each time I go live, like I'm still learning things. um, Especially as I use Patreon. Mm, you said it's afternoon for you. Oh man. There's a sudden chill in the Mediterranean, so feeling like I need to be a cat in a sunspot. Interesting. Well, so you're in the Mediterranean. I've never been there before. I don't know what it's like. Do you like it there? Also, I'm gonna close this door really quick. 1 second. Okay. Um, Also, I'm just gonna put it in the chat. No. Oopsie. Here we go. Okay. We are at 9:05. I'm just gonna give a slight little bit more time. So, you said there are worse places to be than by a seaside. Can't complain. Right? Yeah. Anytime I go to like the beach and I see the beautiful ocean, I'm just like, I could live here. But then when I really think about it, I'm like, I don't want to live by the ocean. Like I've thought about Florida before with my husband, and at the end of the day, we're both like, no, because of the hurricanes and stuff. But every time we go there, I'm like, maybe. It's an interesting conundrum. Um, Hold on a second. I am going to make okay. Volume 5 recap. All right. I think I see sorry if you hear all of my typing. I'm just okay. Um So, hi Ritu, it's nice to see you. Ritu says, just saying hi because I am meeting my Dame friend in real life and got to go in a few minutes. So, that's totally fine. I know normally like 9 a.m., I would rather not go live at 9 a.m., but I have a live session to be part of at 12 for my watercolor mentorship. This is our last session. So we're doing like a final feedback session as well as exhibition. And then she's handing out awards. And so these, I have noticed the recap sessions and even the live reading sessions I do with Patreon, they always go over 2 hours. So I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna be on the safe side and bump it an hour earlier. So I do know that, for some people, they may not be able they may not be able to make it, and that's totally fine. But hi, and you said you can't wait for the next volume and to see the discussion here. I'm excited for the next volume because the way some things left off, I need to know some stuff. And then NFS says, OMG, I forgot lives have ads now. You monetize. I am monetized now. I do have to figure out that whole thing as far as live sessions and making sure that when the ads come, like it's not all the time. Hi, Stacy. Because when I first monetized, and I was like, just automatically monetize a video. I kid you not. I was like, YouTube is trying to set me up for failure because I went to go look at a video just to see where they put the ads for a 2-hour video. There were over 20 ad slots. I was like, y'all trying to get people to unsubscribe. So while I was away at on my vacation in Arizona, I went through all 270 videos or however many I have, but it's like about 270 now. I had to go through every single video and erase all the ads they put and then put my own in there because I'm like, yeah, if I'm watching a 2-hour video and there are 24 to 30 ads, I'm not watching that video like anymore. I'm leaving because it's way too much. You said they will milk you, lol, until you opt out, I guess. Yeah, I do have on my not this account, but just like on my regular account, I do have YouTube not premium, whatever's below that. So I can bypass commercials and everything, but to me it's just still like don't do that to people. Like come on. That's a lot for a 2-hour video. So I tried to place them only when there was a chapter change, and not every chapter change. Like, I don't need the money like that. So don't I don't need the money at all, I guess. So don't do that to me. While it's exciting to be monetized, I still, want everything to work out well. He said, OMG, that's nightmare. I forgot you backlog. Yeah, I had to do it. It took 3 hours, I think. Yeah, it took about 3 hours, but it was nothing. I was more than happy to do it. Just like I'm taking everything that's on YouTube and putting it on my Patreon so that the people there can listen to it on Spotify. Um, since that was like a big request, it's no worries. And now as we go forward, as I upload, then I can just select the slots. So we're all good, thankfully. Anyway, I feel like that was enough of a little intro of just random talking. But yes, I am monetized. I am super excited about it. Like, it's it's one of those things where when I started this channel, I knew it would happen one day, but I wasn't thinking about it because it wasn't a priority. Um and then when it happened, I was like, "Oh, gasp, yay!" So, I'm so happy, and we'll just see where things go from there. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get into this discussion. So, again, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you guys are. It's 9:12 a.m. for me. And it does mark my first milestone. I think that's awesome. And like, even on, I don't know, this might become what I do full time at some point, like with my other job. So, today, we are here to do a live recap and discussion of YuWu. Hi, Jasmine. Nice to see you. Um, this was a very, very exciting volume. That is what I'm going to say. Okay, so there's a commercial right there. So now I know where they happen. Out of all of the volumes that we have read, I will say that volume 5 was the one I was most excited to read, at least thus far. Like, even now, I am ready to read volume 6, but I was still very, very, very excited about volume 5. So, after I finished it, though, it's not my favorite volume, just my most excited one. So, we got a lot of truths revealed in this one, but one thing that I was very, very relieved and happy about was that we finally got some fluff, because we needed that fluff really, really bad. We've been crying together. I was reviewing a video where it was during a live reading, and I was like, I'm so proud of myself, I didn't even cry. And then 2 minutes later, I was crying. So I'm so happy that we got fluff in this volume. Like, you have no idea. NFS says meat bun is about to torment, not fluff. Yeah, which is crazy because I absolutely love that. I love to hurt. Is that weird? I know a lot of people like to hurt, but it's still, when we think about it, like, is that weird? Why do humans like to hurt? Why do humans like pain and suffering and to stay like in? Okay, anyway, let's not go down that conversation. So there are some key themes that happened within volume 5 that, yes, that I think are very important for us to just go ahead and point out right now. Number one, that is going to be in basically the very beginning, the love and confession that we finally got from Gumong, where he finally openly admits that he loves Moshi. Such a monumental moment that we'll talk about here in just a second. And then, I mean, because we know he said it before in the past, but we'll talk about why it's monumental. And then another thing, of course, that's a key theme or a key important thing in volume 5 is the whole memory and identity thing with Gumong. His memory loss is happening. And when they go to battle, he feels like it's accelerating, like it's happening faster. And so he does the journaling and everything. Then we also have another key theme family and childhood. Okay, all I have to say is Mu Zhong Lian. That's it. And Gumong. Mu Zhong Shen. Auntie Lean. Okay. And then, of course, we have another theme of political betrayal, which I'm going to talk about, and war. Um, whew. And the other theme, even though we're still going to just like recap all of it, spiritual and demonic connections. And I'm specifically talking about this demon blood beast, how it works, the opposite beast, and all of that jazz. So let's see really quickly. Yes, it's very cathartic. And then Stacy says, I like how Meat Bun is really good at both fluff and the angst. I really enjoy these happy times though. Yes, like when I read Arha, I really loved all of the fluffy moments that were in there. She wrote them so well. They were so sweet and realistic ish. It didn't feel like it was being overdone. So I appreciate that so much. So let's go ahead. I've got Twin with me. And just in case my stomach is too bad, I brought some fruit. I might need to take a bite. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get into it. He says, yes, I wonder about something, rebros and the iced pregnancy, but we can later talk about that later. Yeah. Yeah. And then mukbang. I don't know if I'll eat in front of you guys. So let's go ahead and start with chapter 131. And that is the chapter I Love You. And I remember when I read the title, I was already like, okay. What happens? Not just the confession. Before we even get to the confession, we have on page 12 where Morsi apologizes to Gumong, which to me, this is also monumental because something that has been a recurrent theme in all of the books before volume 5 is Morsi not understanding Gumong, which there are obvious reasons we know why he doesn't understand Gumong, but at the same time, him not paying enough attention. So he finally apologized for not understanding this man, his goals and ambitions, like what it is that he really wants in life. But also, even when he was in his hurt and his pain and his trauma, not understanding that Gumang, at some points was putting on a bluff, like, oh, I'm fine, it's going to be all right. When no, the man was drowning in sorrow, even if he had the whole secret mission going on with the emperor, that does not mean that Gumang was not hurting. It hurts, the stuff that he went through, right? And so oopsie. And so we just look at, how do I say this? What I like is that even though Gumang was like shaken by his recollections when he woke up and everything and was trying to push Morsi away, eventually he just like broke down. I love that so much. And he was just like, I didn't want to do it. I was so alone. It hurt. Like, I feel like Gumang finally got to release a lot of emotions because he was so used to putting on a front and not saying how he really felt. So that was very good for him as well. And I'm glad that he did it because it's not healthy. He talked about Morsi being repressed. Gumang himself was repressed. They were just mirror images of each other and they had their own ways of having their repression. And so, of course, we have, Morsi, even though he understands Gumang, there's him saying basically that Gumang didn't understand him because Gumang was trying to keep him safe and everything. He didn't want him to know about the mission. He didn't want to see him, all of that stuff. Meanwhile, Morsi is like, don't you think it was crueler to keep secrets from me than to share the burden? Like, I want to suffer with you. I want to face criticism with you, not be shut out. And that is so important because when you are in a healthy relationship, yeah, you share burdens with one another. So it was nice to see them finally have this discussion. They both get their thoughts and their feelings out. And even Morsi is like, I used to want you to love me back. But like, my guy, you don't even have to love me. I just want to stay by your side and I want to protect you. Like, that's it. And I think that was a very mature thing to say, because just because you are in love with someone and you love someone does not mean that they have to reciprocate those feelings, you know? But then we have Gumang, who is shooketh by Morsi's sincerity. And, he finally realizes himself that he misunderstood Morsi. So he admits that he disrespected Morsi and his wishes, and he was trying to impose his own plans into his life. And I love how he put it on page 16. He was like, "It was I who didn't give you the chance to walk with me." Because Morsi wanted to walk. He really did. Also, as we're going through this live, can you guys just tell me what happens as far as the ads are concerned? Because I clicked the button. I think it said like conservative, which was the lowest bar for the amount of ads that show up, because I don't want the live sessions to have too many ads either. So just let me know. And if you guys ever come across a specific video of mine that seems to have way too many ads, always let me know in the comments so I can go and fix that. Okay. I had forgotten to say that earlier, but just wanted to say that because I saw an ad on one of my devices. So anyway, after that on page 16, then we go to page 19, the monumental confession. Yes, Gumang finally directly admits that I don't want to see you with anyone else, and I truly love you. So the reason why this is monumental is because Gumang told him that he loves him and they were not having sex. Like, all the time in the past, they would be having sex. And he's like, "Oh, I love you, Morsi. I love you." But those are things that were being said in the throes of passion. But it was not something that he said outside of those moments. So for him to go ahead and truly say it now, Morsi was stunned. I was stunned. I mean, I knew he loved him, but I was stunned by the admission. And so it was just such a beautiful moment because they were in an intimate moment, but it wasn't intimacy like sexual intimacy. It was conversational intimacy, vulnerable intimacy. So I was very, very happy about this. Before I go to the next chapter, we have NFS saying it was very realistic issue in a relationship of any kind. Yes, projections and personal traumas interfering. Absolutely. Princess said, "Damn it, I'm late." You're not that late. We did a lot of fluff talking beforehand. I literally just went over the first chapter. If that makes you feel better, does it? It should. But hi, it's so nice to see you. And yes, I only had the ad at the start. Okay, very good. Very, very good. So, yeah, it's a very realistic issue. A lot of times we have our own worries and concerns and we push those onto our partners and we end up hurting them. Like even myself, I won't talk about it too much because I'm want to be conscious of the time. But I remember years ago when I was going through all the strife and stuff with my mother, and like she was feeding certain things into my ears that was causing me to think a certain way. I started pushing my husband away because I was so overwhelmed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, if he finds out this thing about me that I'm holding in my heart, he's going to hate me. He's going to divorce me. He's not going to love me anymore." And so I had already started pushing him away. And one day he was like, "We need to talk. You're making a lot of plans, and I just want to see where I fit in them because I don't see it right now." And we had a long discussion, and then I realized and I apologized. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been projecting my fears onto you and like trying to hide a part of myself so you stay, because I'm so terrified of rejection. I'm so afraid to be alone." And I shared the darkest part of myself with him. And he's still here, so everything worked out fine. It's a very, very realistic issue, and I was happy to see it in here. um and if it says haha, love you giving chat dramatic voice acting. I did. I don't even realize I did. Protective preemptive caution. Yeah. And it's crazy because that protection is the very thing that hurts us. Like a lot of times when we think we're protecting ourselves or protecting others, we're actually hurting ourselves and hurting others. So, anyway, moving on to chapter 132. Is candy sweeter or am I? This title. I cannot. And of course, we know it's Gumang that's saying this. So we have it opening up with Morsi understanding the emperor's ambition and Gumang's resolve, which I have to say I'm very happy to hear. Even though he's upset, he doesn't really like how things have gone through, he does a lot of reflection. And he understands why the emperor has done what he's done. And he understands that Gumang himself shares the emperor's vision, which is something very important. Gumang, was he being used by the emperor? Yes. But he willingly, mostly willingly, 90, 85% willingly was going along with the emperor because he has his own goals and visions. He wants to also reform the country. So he wasn't just following orders. There's a goal he had in mind. And so for Morsi to finally understand that, I was like, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes. And then we also get the like change that's happening within Morsi's manor, where all the servants notice that he's treating him differently, more with more tenderness and care. You know, he broke a vase and they were like, hey, he was like, who put this vase here? Is my baby hurt? And despite this awareness, what I do love is that his servants remain 100% loyal. They're not spreading rumors. They're not, doing anything they shouldn't be doing. And Li Wei is keeping them in shape. He's like, our Lord is a righteous man. So, like, obviously, there's a reason for him doing this. Although I do wonder where they stand now by the end of volume 5 when everyone knows. But anyway, or everyone is speculating. So then we also have Gumang doing his little journaling because he knows that his memory will eventually fade, which I think is a very, very smart thing to do because your memories are going to fade. So you might as well write everything out. And it's like a little book that you can read. And so each morning he's reading these things that he wrote the day before to like anchor himself. And it sucks because as time goes on, some of these memories, he feels like he's just reading something that happened to someone, but not him. But at the same time, it's at least good that it's there, you know? And I personally was wondering with all of these writings that he's doing, if this is in any correlation to volume 1, the prologue, where Gumang had given Morsi a book. And Morsi was like this. And he was like, oh, I just was writing about some things in life or whatever. I also wrote about us. And then Morsi was like, this book is forbidden. Anyone who reads it will be punished. And I was like, is that everything that Gumang's been writing down? Because that would be really a nice little tie-in. But also, what position does Morsi have by that point that he can forbid a book? Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. So then we have the ring from Mu Zhonglian. And, he notices the ring is still on Gumang's finger. And he's like, you want me to give it to Mu Zhonglian or you want to go yourself? And he's like, I'll go myself. But we see Morsi not wanting Gumang to be out of his sight because he's just had too much grief and trauma of being separated from Gumang, both physically and mentally. So I definitely understand his fears, especially with knowing that Gumang is going to lose his memories and everything. So, it's just kind of like, oh, but, he ended up letting him go on his own. And then, of course, at the point in time when I was reading, I had my theory about Mu Zhonglian being secretly in love with Gumang. I mean, that wasn't right, but at least I had a theory. NFS says journaling is so sad, kind of reminding me of that movie. What's the name of that movie? When the girl has amnesia reset every day. Every day? I read a TGCF fanfic of that, where Xiaolian lost his memories every day. I don't know what movie any of that was referring to, though. Why can't I remember? Oh, Bujadal. Anyway, I said Morsi is not discreet. Not at all. Which is said he's great at keeping a secret, but he's not necessarily great at acting. Poor little Morsi. So then we move on to chapter 133, 14 years of love. And I'm going to just say, Mipa knows exactly what she's doing to me. She be egging me on. She purposely named this chapter 14 Years of First Love while Gumag was going to return the ring to Mu Zhonglian, which just like further instilled my theory of like Mu Zhonglian is in love with him. So anyway, anyway, so we have this flashback with Gumang and Mu Zhonglian as children, little children, like 4 or 5 years old. And Mu Zhonglian had this swing in the garden that he loved to be on. And Gumang would secretly be on it as well, too. But he fell asleep and he got pushed off by Mu Zhonglian out of, I don't know, spite, disgust, or something. And we have this innocent Mu Zhonglian who is learning to be a bad person or learning to look down on others, but still has that childlike innocence. And so he panics when he sees him bleeding and tries to convince himself, like, you deserved it. And then he panics and he runs away. And we have Auntie Lean, this character, come in and, or as he says, Auntie Nee, but she's this servant woman who is one of the only people that shows Gumang this rare kindness. She's the only woman that he is close to in his childhood, and through her, he experiences a glimpse of maternal love. Unfortunately, she dies when he's only 4. So that's no fun. But before her death, she said something to Gumang that was very profound, or I will say it wasn't profound. I mean, maybe, but it profoundly shaped him. And it was why he never left Wangshu Manor nor really quarreled with Mu Zhonglian. And so, of course, at this chapter point, it wasn't revealed what was said because he snapped back from someone calling his name. And if it says 50 new dates, Drew Barrymore and Sandler. Also, I think that ring is like their father's sacred weapon. Possibly. And I thought that might be family, but I was like, nah. He's like, yeah, the ring must have some connection to the family, right? It has to. Absolutely, it has to. So then we move on to chapter 134. Still in Mu Zhonglian's childhood, where, of course, he returns the ring, and Mu Zhonglian is also like, you have your memories back. Don't lie to me. But anyway, Mujong is clearly upset about how Gumang returns the ring because he's like, I don't need it anymore. And we have plenty of this at Moshi's place. This is ugly. And he's like, how dare you? This ring is, but he don't say what it is. And I'm like, is what? MRL? Come on, Murolian, tell me what the ring is. But of course, he doesn't say. So anyway, Gumang did a little too good, which means he didn't do good at all, of pretending like he didn't have his memories back because, sir, you don't believe you're a wolf anymore, but like also Mu Zhonglian has known you since you were 4. Like, what are you doing? You're doing too much. Which, you may have experience in deception and being a spy, but this is entirely different, So anyway, Gumang does suspect that the ring was placed on his finger before going to the Asura room as some form of protection or influence or whatever, but nothing was confirmed. And so then we have Gumang leaving, and we see this sense of compassion that he has for Mu Zhonglian. Despite everything, Gumang feels pity for him. And on page 40, he literally says mentally that he can't stand to see Mu Zhonglian enslaved by this drug addiction, by the ephemera. And so he goes to Jiang Fuli's residence to seek medicine to help him quit. And of course, Su Yuro is just like, if you don't want to quit, he's not going to quit. And that's real. No matter how much you try to help someone get off of something, any addiction, it doesn't even have to be a drug. If they don't want to, they're not going to. No medicine's going to help that. And so then going on to Mu Zhonglian's past, we understand that, okay, his father died young, and he was described as an undisciplined man, which when we get further into the story, that was not the case. But anyway, his mother, Mu Zhonglian's mother, sought to shape him and mold him into his father's image, which was also another reason where I was like, maybe he wasn't so undisciplined and everything, but he wanted him to be a great general to use musical techniques in war. And she suppressed his natural talent and love for illusions, forcing him to pursue the path that he did not want. She basically forced him to be on Gusu Lan sect with Lan Wangji. That's what she did. Uh, and it's just so sad because when you suppress an innate talent, a natural and love and affection for something in someone, it, it just sucks because even if he didn't pursue musical cultivation, what he was pursuing could have been amazing, because when someone really loves something, they want to do it to the best of their ability. So you're thinking that it's nothing or whatever, but it could have turned out to be something like so amazing. And you took that from him. So that was really sucky. And, she was always verbally abusing him. She physically abused him once, but she was always comparing him to Morsi. And, that explains the deep seated resentment between them two. Because I was wondering, like, why is he always picking on Morsi? This chapter gave us a little insight on that. And so the abuse that he endured really warped him into the character that he is today. And we finally get that understanding. I was very happy about getting that information. So there are some comments I'm missing. NFS says, I figured when that story about loving commoners was tied in, it will get connected in some way. Meat bun, don't throw crumbs in vain. Not at all. So curious about mom now because she had memory loss too, but knows the song. Also curious as to why druggy hid strategy skill. We'll get there. Also, the coughing. There's more there with him. I'm so curious. So as far as the coughing is concerned, we'll get there. I'll say what I'm gonna say in a minute. Man wanted to butterfly. Hi Freya, it's nice to see you. She said, I was so sad when Gumong was like, little by little, the butterflies disappeared. Yeah, so sad. And then NFS is, are you letting me know there was an ad? And it's 9:36, so that was about 30 minutes, 36 minutes. Okay. He said, I just got a thought of him being jealous in secret. Most definitely. Yeah. Of Hua Chang. Yeah, hold on. I got a secret thought of him being jealous of Hua Chang. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not connecting your comment. Okay. Were you telling me there was an ad though, NFS? Because if so, I guess that's not bad. I also might just take ads off of the live sessions, I think. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, where are we? Yes. So Gumang understands Mu Zhonglian more than anyone. Even if there's some things he doesn't understand, the one thing that we know is that. And he realizes, of course, that despite Mu Zhonglian's abuse of him, that he must hold some kind of special place in Mu Zhonglian's heart. What place? He don't know. But I'm going to assume that he probably does because Mu Zhonglian knows that Gumang is probably the only person who has ever truly saw him for him and knew what he liked to do in the past and was there for it. He was supporting it, even though it got snatched away from him. And so then we have Gumang reflecting on Mu Zhonglian's addiction and finding it strange that he would smoke a drug that would render him useless within like 5 years, given how competitive and proud he is. But considering his mother's strictness and like his constant punishment and everything, I personally don't think it's strange that he would start using a drug that would make him incompetent in the future, because Mu Zhonglian could be just looking for a sense of release from all the pressure that he's felt for so many years. And even with his mother gone, still feeling that pressure, it could also be a quiet act of rebellion to make himself useless when he knows his mother, even if she's dead, would disapprove of his actions. And then, of course, there is him wanting to have control over his own life. And so choosing self-destruction, those are obviously reasons why he would do something like that. His position is super dangerous politically too, I guess. Absolutely. So then when we move to chapter 135, Peaceful Days, we have this beautiful little cooking scene where Gumang finds Moshi in the little kitchen struggling to cook. And it's obvious that Moshi has a lot weighing on him. And so Gumang is trying to be playful and forward to cheer him up. And in the midst of that, we learn that Gumang isn't actually inherently shameless. He's only doing these things deliberately to make Moshi happy. And of course, it works, but it also doesn't work because he forgets something about the fish balls from Zhang Ji's stall, but he was trying. I also really liked to see a Gong that isn't very good at cooking. I mean, he's not disastrous like Shellyan or something like that, but he wasn't very good at it. And the show, Gumong, is good at it. Because I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes that trope, I just be like, why is it that the shows can't cook? It's not that hard. Like being a chef and just knowing how to follow some freaking directions and cook some food are two different things. Why do they all have to be so horrible at this? Anyway, I just love this chapter because we have Gumang being completely honest with Moshi. And so he praised Moshi for his effort, but still was like, I mean, I like this about what you cooked. I like that about what you cooked. How about we cook together? So that was nice. And of course, even after the meal is done, you know, they're so used to having to always rush things that in this moment when it was like, what do we do next? Moshi was just like, bask in the sun with me, yo. Let's just do that. And so I absolutely loved that. I thought it was beautiful. Let's see, in the comment section, we have the ad cut me off. Oh no! I had a thought of crossover between him and Hua Chang from Heaven Official's Blessing, wanting to butterfly. Oh, okay. Him thinking he can make better butterflies. Okay. Yeah, the previous emperor wanted to make him the crown prince. Yeah. If he seems incompetent, it'll be less likely that he's seen as a threat. That was something that was mentioned earlier, I think, by Morsi or Gumang, but then they kind of were like, "Nah, I don't think that's the theory. I don't think that's it." I can't remember who said which one. But I mean, there is also that, but possibly not. Also, I'm so sorry the ad cut off your thingy. So what I'm going to do then is just I don't I'm not going to allow ads to be a thing in the live sessions. Yeah, I don't like that. That way we can interact without disruption for anyone. So Freya says, I think it is so sweet. Moshi wanted to make something nice for Gumang, but peeling the shrimp made me laugh because the guy obliterated the shrimp. That was so funny. Um, and they say, is he talking about tops and bottoms or yes, yes, I am. Why is it that the bottoms can never cook? Okay. You said, is Mujang Yan in line on mom's or dad's side asking for a friend? I don't know. Poor little mushy stove. Oh yeah, it's interesting because he's the emperor's stove, but he doesn't really have that much expertise at an actual stove. That's ironic. So let's move on. Try to go faster. Chapter 136, Dragon Boat Festival. So we have Gumang's memories are slipping and it's hurting Moshi. And anyway, Gumang just keeps reading and reading and reading, trying to preserve whatever is left. And of course, the emperor sends a letter inviting Gumang to the Warrior Soul Mountain for the festival. And Gumang refuses because it's like, regardless of the truth, he feels like he doesn't deserve to go. And clearing his name changes nothing for the countless of people who hate him. And so we also get like this little memory of him in the past, like when a storm was happening and he was dreaming of all these ghosts chasing him and demanding his death, and he like ran terrified into Morsi's bedroom and like nuzzled up against him and everything. And I was like, that was so Wolfgaga of him. But anyway, so they don't go to Warrior Soul Mountain, but they also do receive an invitation from Jiang Yeshui. And so they go and celebrate with him and make zonza. And And, um, Moshi tells him because Gumang forgot some more. He's like, I mean, Jiang Yeshe, he was there when I looked into the Jade Scrolls. So, given how I came out of that and everything that I did, he's perceptive. He knows you're not a traitor. But not only that, I mean, even before then, Jiang Yeshe had already stated in volume 2 that he could never hate Gumong because they were brothers in arms, you know? So it's just sucky to see that, okay, Gumong has forgot those things as well. But anyway, they get there and Jiang Yeshe is there along with Chung Feng Juan's heart mad daughter, Lanar, which I have a lot to say about her. So I really need to use my time wisely. Um, so Lanar is, of course, delighted to see Gumong, and she warmly greets him and everything. And I have to say, I was so happy to see them reunite because when they first met, they just clicked so well. And then at the banquet, when she saw him, he wasn't talking to her because of her father, and he already understood how these things worked and everything, and she was so sad and crying because she thought that he didn't want to talk to her anymore because of her heart madness. And so for them to have this moment, and it's like, no, like, hey, my little Lana, hi, Wolfgaga, yee! I was like, thank you, Meat Bun, for giving me that, because this is such a small thing. She is such a small, insignificant character, but I really felt so sad about it. And I was like, please let them have their moment. I have a lot to say about her. We'll get there. So anyway, then we also have Yue Chunqing struggling with how to address Gumang, and he ends up being respectful and calling him Gu Shushu, which is just a great reflection on Yue Chunqing's character again. I love him so much. And I am so happy that he's at a point now where he acknowledges Jiang Yeshe as Daga, which is big brother, and admitting that his past behaviors were from the influence by others, but not just making that as his excuse, but also saying that I was wrong. I was not thinking for myself. That is some very good personal growth. And I love that reconciliation that they have. And so, of course, we also close that chapter with learning that Muzhong Chuyi wants to move out of the Yue Manor and live on his own. And he's not talking to anybody. We'll figure that out. But let me read comments. Gumang running to Moshi because he was the safest person in place. Gumang knew, yeah, made me go, oh, right. Yes. It is no home in a person. Yes, absolutely. So then when we go to chapter 137, Deceased Wife's Memorial Tablet. Okay. Because y'all know what chapter we're getting to that I'm a complain about Meat Bun again. First with that chapter name of the 14 years of the first love. So in chapter 137, we have Jiang Yeshe admitting his guilt and gratitude toward Gumang because Gumang never blamed him for failing to believe in him. Meanwhile, in the past, Gumang didn't care about Jiang Yeshe being shunned by everyone, and he proudly was playing his suona at the wedding and was like, I'm gonna let the world know my buddy's getting married, yeah. And so it was nice to see him apologize, like, I'm sorry I didn't have faith in you. He doesn't even know what's in the scrolls, but he's like, man, I am not a good friend. Okay, another ad. Oh, that was fast. I don't like that. So Lanar's condition, we get back to her again. And we have her, she is actually now living with Jiang Yeshe because she had another flare up of heart madness. And we already know that her spiritual core is unusually strong, but it's really strong, like almost as powerful as Moshi's, which is very alarming. But her body is too weak to bear it. And so in her last flare up, she ended up injuring some kids from the academy and even like a distant nephew of the emperor. And they were going to expel her. But Jiang Yeshe was like, bring her here with me. Okay. I mean, can you skip them? They should be skippable ads because when I looked, like I could press skip. So it was what was I saying though? Oh yes, but he was also explaining like her condition is highly sensitive to emotional triggers, and like all of the mockery and the cruelty she was facing from others in the constant bullying and calling her a monster, those things were not going to help her progress with her heart madness. So he took her in. And so for me, I'm like, this is very akin to neurodivergency, which we will get into later. That's why I said I have a lot to say about her. I don't know, maybe she's my favorite side character. I thought it was Leeway, but I have a whole thing on her. So anyway, then we have Guman going inside to grab some string or whatever, and he notices the plaque of Jiang Yeshua's deceased wife, Tin Mujin. And so he's paying his respects to her or whatever. And then he's like, something's off. And we get to the chapter where Meat Bun was like, I'm going to call this exposed so you can think there's something up with Jiang Yeshui. And it have nothing to do with that. Thank you so very much, Meat Bun. As I roll my eyes. So he notices dust on the memorial tablet, which is strange because if someone is paying respects to their deceased loved one, they would wipe it clean. And he's like, I mean, Jiang Yeshua is busy, so maybe he just didn't notice or he doesn't have time. And I'm like, why is there dust there? Why is there dust on your deceased wife's memorial tablet? What have you done? I just need to know what this man has done. Give me something wrong that he has done so I can finally let go of this whole, I find him suspicious thing. Like, Meat Bun, stop playing with me. And so, anyway, he goes back out there and they made way too many zongzes. And Yue Chengqing's looks like crap. So Jiang Yeshua is like, we should go share these with the elderly people. And of course, Gumang, who made some amazing zongzi, doesn't want his to be included because he feels unworthy and guilty because their soldiers have more than likely fallen by his hands. And Morsi reassures him. He's like, that grief belongs to the Liao Kingdom invasion, not to you. So he was like, you have literally given the emperor all of the intelligence you could to prevent deaths. And he did. That man was writing him in great detail some things, And so outside we have this tender moment between Morsi and Gumang, and he lifts off the mask, and they're in this alley or whatever, and they're about to kissy kiss. And I'm like, Morsi, what are you doing? And of course, a soldier from the Northern Frontier Army happens to be passing. It's like, stepdad. So then we move into you see some comments. The loop of emotional distress. The spidey senses are tingling. Yes. Detective Mari Chen is on the case. Yes, Stacy, something is sus, and I can't let it go. What did he do? But now I'm gonna think, like, okay, does it have anything to do with Gumang though, or did he just do something bad in general? But I'm still gonna think maybe it has something to do with Gumang, but I won't press so much on that. You said Meat Bun drops are dropping, and then we are like, fine, I'll learn in a volume or two, I guess. Yes, the scene was so hilarious with him calling them stepdad. So going to the next chapter, chapter 139, the war starts again. Yes, after them nearly being caught, they go inside this guy's home, and Gumang has his mask back on, so the guy doesn't recognize him, and he's just like, this soldier is overthinking. He's like, oh my gosh, is Moshi gonna kill me because I caught him having an affair? Like, who is this person in disguise? Is she better than Princess Mungza? Wait a minute, it could be Princess Mungza. And I'm like, sir, just mind your own business. He's like, wait, if it's Princess Mungza, he's not doing this right. Why are they kissing over in the alley? Shouldn't they get married? Like, and I'm like, sir, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Just don't touch it. And so after that little meeting or whatever, Morsi reveals that he knows that it's Gumang's soldier because Gumang said it. He's like, yeah, I know. And he was like, how do you know that it's not a new recruit? And he's like, because he called me stepdad. And they think I don't know, but I know. And of course he knows. How could he not know? So, anyway, a really sad note here that was mentioned in the chapter is that these slave soldiers believed that Morsi, as a noble, could never understand or share their perspective. And like these undertones are showing such the like deep divide between nobility and common soldiers, despite Morsi having genuine care for them and having sacrificed 10 years of his life. Now, they don't know about that, but I mean, you don't have to be the same as someone or share their experiences to have compassion or to care about them. And so it's really sucky to see that Gumang's soldiers have this mentality that, oh, he's just our stepdad. He's just the man that's over us. But like, he doesn't really care. He doesn't really agree with our grievances and everything like that. It's like, that's not true. Actually, the man gave up 10 years of his life for you guys. Okay. Let's see. Meat Bun is giving me trust issues. Yes, Jasmine. I don't trust this woman at all. He says, at least we only have 2 volumes left. Yes, so we should get things solved pretty quickly. Moshi seems so lonely every time he speaks about the Northern Army. Yeah, and that's just like the really sucky part because typically speaking, when you're in the army, those are like your brothers in arms, your comrades, your Tongzhi or Tongjiao, I believe is the one they use. There are 2 different ways to say comrades. And so it's so sad because Gumang was that person for him in the past. Like they clicked so well. That was his brother in arms, and now he don't have anybody, you know. And it's just one can be prejudiced in every direction. Yes, I say that like for sure because I know there are a lot of people. Specifically, I'm sorry, there are a lot of like Black people who believe that Black people can't be racist, and I'm just like, because we faced racism, you believe we can't be racist? So it's like just because you're facing prejudice, you believe that someone else like you two aren't prejudiced? I don't know. Really weird. Really, really weird. But anyway, yeah, it's sucky. It's really sucky. So then anyway, we have happening the Liao Kingdom. Lovely people there. They break their 2-year treatise and they launch an attack on Chonghua's weakest border pass, which is called Shitua Gate. And His Majesty has another flare up, and he declares Princess Mengza in charge of the military response, which enraged the nobles, these lovely, caring, compassionate people, these nobles. Her strategy is to deploy the winged cavalry immediately and dispatch battalions from the 2 nearest fort garrisons to stabilize the situation. And Morsi is like, that is a great plan. Morsi, a commander, he's been to war so many times. He's been a general for years. He knows these things. The Bureau of Military Affairs, they're like, yes, great plan. And what do these compassionate, loving, considerate nobles do? They veto. They veto. Because what else can they do? They veto because she is a woman and they don't trust her capabilities. They dismiss her because she is a woman. But also, more importantly, they dismiss her because they are truly dismissing the emperor. Because no matter what, the emperor gave her full authority and full power to do whatever it was she decided. So them vetoing her was them vetoing the emperor. What are the consequences of these delays? Obviously, Shutua Gate was lost. And we have the Liao Kingdom capturing 3 major border cities, Feng City, Datsu City, and D City. And their tens of thousands of Chonghua soldiers are slaughtered. And we find out that the people at Shutua Gate asked 14 times for reinforcements, and they ignored it by vetoing. So, this chapter, of course, we're starting to shift finally into war. And I'm upset because all of this time, people are looking at Gumang as a traitor and everything. But to me, the biggest traitors, the biggest threat to Chonghua is these nobles, because you sacrificed 3 cities, and one of those cities, Datsu City, is very important. But not only that, you lost tens of thousands of people who are fighting to keep Chonghua thriving, all because a woman is on the throne and you don't respect the emperor. I'm telling y'all, when I was reading that, I was so upset. Y'all know if y'all listen to like my rant at the end, because so to me, they are the traitors of the country. Forget about Gumong. What the hell are y'all doing? So, anyway, I mean, caution comes from experience, stereotypes too, I guess. Yes. Humans have a nasty habit of generalizing everything. We do, don't we? The court is so terrible. They were, and everything was just falling apart. And like I said in that live session, the decision you guys made, what if those tens of thousands of people makes a difference between victory and defeat? Like if you would have just had those tens of thousands more soldiers, Chonghua would have been saved. Like, what happens if the Liao Kingdom actually did win and take over and stuff? Then, like, what the hell? Whose fault is it? Y'all's. Anyway, we're not going to harp on that. I just know I was glad when the emperor called them out as well. You said you hated for the emperor finding out that there's no loyalty in the court. Yeah, and I think that's something that he's always known. The way I would punt them and that immunity to Morsi's fireball. Yeah, I'm like, screw your immunity. Kill them right now, you know? So, anyway, when we move on to chapter 140, the demon blood beast, which we're now getting into this, which, as someone mentioned, Muzhong Liang coughing, I think this is the part where I go into a little bit of my thoughts on that. So, of course, the emperor is mad in this chapter, and he's like, Princess, name everybody who vetoed you, because I'm about to. I mean, she focuses on what's really important. And of course, the nobles are like, phew, she's a smart woman. She didn't, whatever. So, with the nobles and their foolishness, they are like, well, at least law and order were preserved. So, law and order is more important than tens and thousands of lives. Okay. And the emperor delivers this amazing line. He says, I'd rather have pigs with neither brains nor ambition than subjects with ambition but no brains. I just love that. Although, according to Morsi, he says that stuff a lot of times when the nobles are like speaking against him or something. But I was like, that line is amazing. I would rather have the pigs as well. Just like oink, oink away. Okay. So then we get into the origins of black magic, which is very, very important. Because this was another theory that I had, and I didn't like explain, but in one of those videos, because I re-listened to all of my videos, and I mentioned my theory of black magic having been like started in Chonghua or have something to do with Chonghua history. So we have Hua Poan, of course, is the first person that ever learned black magic, and he learned it from Chun Tang. Not because Chun Tang taught him black magic, but because Hua Poan took the techniques from Chonghua and morphed them into something else. So that was pretty interesting. And then, of course, we have Gumong giving the emperor this like damned heart sutra, which was like a technique that could consume commoner souls with demonic tea and everything. And there are only two sigil differences between Chonghua's cultivation and black magic. So that like helped him to really truly see the links between black magic and Chonghua's cultivation. And so he tells a tale of this demon blood beast, where it's this terrifying creature that's capable of filling people within a 30-mile radius with malevolent chi. That's scary. And generations ago, the late emperor, his daddy, secretly ordered Chun Tang to attempt the creation of a counter creature, a purification spirit beast with reversed abilities. But this attempt failed, and the incomplete body of the purification beast has vanished. And so we have these mutations from the spirit beast, and anyone who secretly interacted with the beast suffered mutations. So the first one we have is Zhou father, who developed an abnormal bloodthirstiness which was passed down to Zhou. Then we have Muzhong Lian's father, Muzhong Xuan, and he secretly interacted with it. though Muzhong Lian does not know. So number one, to answer that question as far as like why Muzhong Lian is coughing and stuff, I'm assuming, of course, it has something to do with that. Like some of that was passed down to him from his father. But oh, I'm sorry. And then the late emperor himself also developed a mutation, having the cold affliction that was passed down to the emperor we have now, who needs his stove. So my thing is, I mean, I don't understand Joha's connection to this purification beast. Um, but when it came to Muzhong Lian, who was clearly against this whole plan entirely, I'm like, so how is it that he secretly had interaction with this beast if he was against doing anything like this? And so then I'm like, so who is the beast? And at first, which it's not well put together. Like clearly it's not going to be this, but it could be somewhere along these lines. But I was like, does Gumang have anything to do with being the purification beast of any kind? Because, you know, we later find out their connection to each other, Murong Shen and Gumang. But because I just have that theory because, you know, it's saying when they checked his body in the grave and everything, they realized what happened to him. But he was so against this idea. Why would he have had secret interaction with the purification beast? So I'm like, was it that he had secret interaction, or was it that he just had like secret interaction with the woman that held the beast? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But you get where I'm trying to go, right? Okay. Whatever. So anyway, I'm making some weird gestures. Um, so we have the crisis at Datsa City. And of course, it's in Liao Kingdom's hands, but this is where the demon blood beast was sealed. And the seal was broken, and the beast is dormant, but they're trying to wake it up. And once it's awakened, the emperor lets us know that not only could it destroy the continent, but possibly the entire freaking world. And I'm just thinking about like, because it's coming up in 6 days, I'm just thinking about like My Hero Academia when we think about like Shigaraki and All for One. Like, if they took over Japan, like it were causing some chaos, and like the rest of the world just goes to shit as well. When I really think about it, that's just because of like all the mutations that Shigaraki went through. In the last season, not saying the demon blood beast looks like him, but that's just like what my mind equated it to, and I was just like, for the beast. Anyway, so anyway, there's in this area, you know, the Liao Kingdom wants to reunite with that little wisp of soul, the little fragment, to get him back together. And so the Emperor's plan, we find out that he wasn't actually sick for 20 days. He was trying to find the wisp of soul from the demon blood beast, and he successfully found it. But unfortunately, while he was incapacitated, what happened? They lost the 3 cities. Because why? The lovely nobles. Yeah. So anyway, he confides in Morsi with all of this information. And he's like, I need you to lead troops to Datsa City, not to reclaim Datsa City, but to get this thing. Get that thing, please. And so just in this chapter, there's a lot of political tension and lore and everything. You know, we have the emperor trusting in Morsi, which to me kind of echoes the trust that he had for Gumang, because this is something he's not shared with anyone except for Morsi, kind of like the things he only shared with Gumang. And then, of course, you know, there's the connection of the black magic, the purification beast, and all of that stuff in Chonghua. Moving on to chapter 141, but I think I have some comments that I need to look at a little bit really quickly. Freya says, I'm sure the citizens in those 3 cities were glad law and order were maintained. Absolutely, because that is the most important thing. Law and order over lives every day, period. Let me see. And the mom was at the experiment room when she was pregnant. Yes, I love Beast is just chilling, napping in the corner as evil ass Gorsher plays music for it. He's like, wake up, my guy. But yes, Exactly. The woman was taken for experimentation. They said she was only in that area being like frozen. I don't know if I believe that. So anyway, I'm like, why would he be so against it? Is because like maybe she was used? Because they were always finding people to use in order to like do these experiments. So I'm glad like you understand why I'm coming up with my theory, right? And he's called the beast of the altar. I'm like, that is not a mistake on Meat Bun's part, right? So anyway, chapter 141, Return to Battle. We have a lot of things. So the Northern Frontier Army has this organization, right? Morsi is going to lead them to fight. Then there are 50,000 cultivators from the Winged Cavalry under Muzhong Lian's command, and another 50,000 cultivators coming from the Scarlet Plumed Battalion, currently without a commander. And of course, Morsi fought to, be like, what about Gumong to the emperor? It ends up being Princess Mengta in the end. Um, and the concern is these soldiers, they're arrogant and hard to manage. And so, of course, Morsi recommended them to the emperor and everything, but Gumong has his worries. Um, and it's one of those things that I think was a legitimate worry. Of course, Morsi's like, well, you could go masked and no one would know it's you. And we can have a great cover story that you're part of the imperial family, so no one will know your true identity. But I'm like, no, we have to think in the long run, because what happens if the mask comes off? You know, what happens if his identity gets exposed? Then what? Then what? So I think it was very smart for Gumong to be like, I see the effort that you put in, but like, no. Also, my memories are going away. You want a general that is of sound mind, which later he started to not get a sound mind. Who was even a lead? You know? So then we have the imperial decree, and the troops' reaction. So everybody's standing, and the emperor decrees Princess Mengta to lead the Scarlet Plume Battalion, and then they're like having all of their thoughts. They're not saying anything, but they're thinking maybe the emperor's just trying to get the two lovebirds together, which they're the wrong birds, whatever. Or maybe he's alienating his own family, and the soldiers have no respect for Princess Mengta, which is crazy because she led them before. But is it like because she's weaker in body now y'all don't have respect, or did y'all never have respect and y'all just mad again? So anyway, on page 112, of course, we have Gumong reflecting and knowing that the reason why the nobles vetoed Princess Mengta was really not necessarily due to gender discrimination, although that was probably part of it, but because of the disrespect they have for the emperor. So, moving on to chapter 142, the real authority of the Liao Kingdom. The Guosher. First off, this man decides that he is the king, essentially, because he's wearing yellow robes with dragon embroidery. And if you read Stars of Chaos, you know the yellow robes and stuff. That's symbolization for the king. Like, oh my gosh. So anyway, we have, like, when he was younger, there were people that were conspiring against him, and he killed all those men. And then he invaded the queen's room and he violated her. I think I can say raped on YouTube. It's not like TikTok where you have to say grape. Yes, he raped her in front of her young son, then killed her, and then smeared her blood on her son's face. Me bun. Why did you give me such a crazy character? And then in the present, he just killed like 32 messengers just because. We don't know if they actually did something to make him angry or if he was just like, I think I want to kill you. Shing! Like, the man is crazy. And then he's got the corpse of the governor, his wife, and their 5 children just like swaying in the hall. And he's like, I like this scene. This is my jam. He's a very concerning character. And his instrument, his gutine, is made from human material. Like, I feel like human and material should never be together. We are not material. We are human. But he's using the skin for the body, the hair as strings, and obviously the eyes have the spiritual energy and capabilities and stuff like that. He also seems to have very detailed intelligence, which is concerning because, when the guy reported like who the generals were, he already knows Morsi's weakness is Gumong. He knows that Mu Zhonglian is an addict, and he knows Princess Mengce's body is weak. Her constitution is weak. And so that intelligence is very concerning. And of course, he had spies sent out to track Jiang Fuli, which I found interesting. I was like, why? So obviously for Gumong's sake, yes, but is there any other reason you have people tracking Jiang Fuli? But they lost him because his Qigong is too good. And he's just basically like, well, if y'all ever see Gumong on the field, let me know. Just go ahead, because I'm sure he's going to appear. And so they are like, well, no, he's not going to be on the field because he got hurt real bad in the Asura room and there's no recovering from that. But still, he's like, just let me know. So despite Chonghua being here, throwing bows or whatever, the Gorsher is completely calm and unconcerned. Like the man is secluding himself for 3 days and playing music for the little Jingshan. It's just like, hey, buddy, wake up. Like, you don't want to go to Chonghua, do you? Wake up for me. And I'm like, sir, there's a whole war happening. Meanwhile, you're in here playing a freaking Gucci and whisper into a ball of light. Okay. Let me see. I've definitely missed some comments. Yes. Let's see. Can you imagine Gumong? Okay. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not missing something important. What is this? Leave me alone. Okay. Yeah. I love that. Wait, can you imagine Gumong on the battlefield, army behind him, drama, mud, smoke, wind? Wolfguga pops up and turns and it's like, why y'all here? He lost his memory. That would be so awful. Oh my gosh, that would be so awful. Thanks for letting me know as well. And it's just, I love that Morsi just reverts back to his old self. He just always wants to be with Gumong and is throwing caution to the wind, right? I mean, moment you use humans as wind chimes, right? Like, ding, ding, ding. Like, I'm like, Gosher is too much. He is creepy. Yes. He is scary. Yes. I mean, Mask is up there for a reason, surely. Yeah. So, who are our candidates? He has priorities. Yeah. So, I'm going to keep going now that I looked at some comments. These next two chapters, chapter 43 and 44, sharing a bed and tingling like before, which if you were on Patreon, you got the full thing, but this was actually a short one. So anyway, we have after their first night of battle, everybody's exhausted. So Morsi is like, don't press, go rest and recuperate. And Gumong is already in the bed and he's curled up. Eventually he curls up in a little ball, like a little dog, like a little wolf or a little cat, whatever, in the corner sleeping. And then at some point when he wakes up, Gumong is sprawled all over him, which triggers memories from their youth of when they spent time in the bed before. And this was before they started sleeping with each other. So we have this hilarious moment where we find out that Gumong and Lu Jianxing used to share a tent, and one time he accidentally caught him sleeping with another woman. And so from then on, he was like, Morsi, I'm sleeping in your bed. Thank you. And so, of course, then in the next chapter, Gumong, first off, is not aware that Morsi has any desires for him at all, like at that time in the past. So that's just funny how he would wake up sometimes and like get up super before Gumong or super after because he had a boner. So anyway, we have again Gumong showing that he has desire for intimacy, specifically sexual intimacy. But Morsi is very hesitant because of Gumong's injuries. And Gumong is like, I'm healed good enough. And he's like, good enough is not good enough. Like, my guy. And so Gumong is explaining to him, like, the tempering that I had with the Snow Fae Wolf, which has the origins of traces to the demon blood beast. I've got these great regenerative abilities, my guy. So let's go at it. I'm ready. um, and so, he also notices a petal shaped mark on his left shoulder, and he's unsure if this is from injury or from birth. What is this mark? Where is it from? Is this from yeah. Anyway, so we have the smut that happens where at first Moshi is like, okay, well, I'm not gonna penetrate. Let me just use your thighs, baby. Which I'm like, does Meat Bun have a thing for like thigh sex? Because it definitely happened in Arha as well. But of course, that is not enough for our Guman Guga. He's like, sir, I am part Fey Wolf. I need us to do the full thing. And so they do. They do. And what ends up happening in the next chapter, affection and gratitude? Oh, the soldiers are gossiping. They are gossiping because they're like, hey, did you hear those sounds coming from the bedroom? Well, I mean, from the tent. And of course, they're assuming that it's Princess Mangta because Princess Mangta is here, you know. And aside from that, we have, for the first time, Gumon gets to observe Moshi setting up battle strategies, which to him is very impressive. And he also notices, like, this is when he notices that his memories are fading faster, which is so sad. So after Moshi finishes reviewing his plan, it's late, everybody leaves, and then someone approaches him with some tea, and he automatically assumes it's Gumon, but it's actually Princess Mangsa. And she just admits that she wants to stay by his side, fully aware that he does not love her. She's like, I've heard you say it so many times. By this point, I've memorized exactly how you're going to word everything. And so on page 148, I love that Moshi response is, if you're always looking at me and spend time with me, you'll never see the people you should be seeing. That was so simple, but so profound at the same time, because it's like, this man doesn't love you, but you just want to stay by his side. Meanwhile, you're keeping yourself from seeing someone who may actually truly love you, and then you growing to love that person. Like, you're missing out on an opportunity for love because you're not going to get it from me, you know? And so the princess, of course, asks, like, have you someone in your heart? And he affirms that he always has. And despite Moshi, like, being clear with her over the years that he's not interested, we learned that she still held hope. And she was believing that he was only rejecting her out of habit. And without explicitly stating, Moshi reveals that this person he loves is a commoner. And that worries Princess Mangta, but he's like, I will do anything to protect that person, and I'll do anything to protect you. You just can't have my heart because that's already been taken by someone else. And so this moment, it's sad, but I'm happy because, like, she finally gets the hopes of him loving her completely shattered, which is necessary because she's holding on to the love and everything, and it hurts and whatnot. Like, it's so sad. It's terrible, It's just kind of like one of those moments where, because he's expressed it so many times, though, I'm like, it's your fault that you had hope, so I can't even feel bad for you. This is how I feel about her tears. Like, ma'am, he's already told you multiple times that he does not love you. So, like, like, come on. Also, yeah, you guys, this is my tiny violin. I bought it. It has its own stand and bow. And it came with a little booklet too. And yes, there are words in here. So anyway, it's just like Mujo Mangta. I mean, Princess Mangta, even though it is Mujong, I can't feel bad for you. Like, you got your hopes and dreams shattered, and like, weirdly, I'm glad about it because it needed to happen. It needed to happen. I'm glad you guys like my tiny violin. I bought it specifically for you guys. You said, I feel like Moshi was very tactful and respectful. Yes, he was able to fully, honestly express that he does love someone. A great scene. Yeah. And it's just one of those things. He's always been like this with her. He's always made it clear. On the one hand, it's like I respect Princess Mungza because she at least wasn't like all those other girls that would be like, love me still over so much time. Like she let it drop. But on the other hand, I'm still like, you still allowed yourself to have these like fanciful thoughts that maybe he was just saying it out of habit. Maybe one day he would actually love you. And it's like, no, not at all. So then we move to chapter 146, Muzhong Lian's strange behavior. And we have Gumang ends up working alongside one of the cultivators from his former army. Of course, the guy doesn't know that he's like speaking to him, but there are some things that he says, and it's like, oh yeah, I learned this from Gumang and this and this and that. And that's such a nice moment, even though it's sad because he can't reveal who he is. But it's just nice to see that, like, even though everyone knows that Gumang is a traitor, his Northern Frontier Army, I'm sure their feelings are complicated. They still hold on to some of the things that he taught them, and that's just like dear, and they won't let it go. But anyway, so during this interaction, it's mentioned that the emperor originally intended to assign Gumang's army to Muzhong Lian. However, Morsi intervened and convinced the emperor to change his mind. And so Gumang is like, the emperor is not quick to change his mind. So what did Morsi present that was an extremely persuasive argument to make the emperor change his mind? And as he's passing the main tent, he expects to find Morsi inside the tent, but it ends up being Muzhong Lian. And Muzhong Lian is sitting at the sand table making rearrangements. What's rearrangements? Rearrangements to the battle strategy. And he sees that Muzhong Lian's tactics are vicious and aggressive, designed for a faster victory, although there's a higher risk of failure, but it's still really, really good. And it makes him wonder why he showed his original wonky donkey plan earlier, that the princess was very, she very easily dismantled. And so when we go to the next chapters, I'm sorry, let me read this comment really quickly. Freya says maybe the princess was having hope before because there was no one else in the picture. Yeah, I think that was mentioned too, but now she heard there had been someone all this time. Yeah. And to me, it's like, even with that though, like there are people in this world who don't care about having a relationship. You know, it's and he could be one of those people. So it's like, even with something like that, Princess Mungsa, you still like, just girl. And then you said, I wonder what is worse, commoner slave or dude? I don't know. Because I think in Chonghua both are pretty bad. A dude, maybe because it's against the law. Yeah, let's go with that. I'm going to say a dude because it's against the law. Whereas with a commoner or a slave, it's something you can't do. Like, it's taboo, but not against the law. Because even when we get into Mudong Shen's story, we learn that it's not that it was impossible, but that the emperor had already promised him to someone else. So that's what I'm going to say. He said before she hoped Moshi would settle for her. Yes, and that's so sad. I would never want someone to settle for me. Like, I want you to want to be with me. Come on. Like, come on. You appreciate the ace heroic. Yeah, because I think being ace is something to consider, because like the man is so, in everybody's eyes, he's such a righteous person. He's a good person. He's loyal to his country. He's very strict and everything. So, like, if there's no one by his side, did it ever just occur to you that maybe he just doesn't want anyone by his side? Like, even if you don't consider that maybe he likes men because that's against the law, it's so far out of reach. Maybe he just wants to be alone. And even, let's just say, also, even if it wasn't that he was ace, but that he's a general, what if in his mind he didn't want to wed because this is the kind of life that eventually one day on battle the general dies? Okay. Also, it's like the generals don't live forever. They all die young, whatever that means. Like even if they die at 50 something, well, if they weren't a general, they probably would have lived to 70 or 80 something. So it could have also been a consideration that maybe he didn't even want to start a family because he didn't want his family to grieve him in loss of death from war, not just like a regular death because he got old and everything. But you said if I had money for every time people push normative thing on me, I'd be able to afford more shelves for documentaries. Yeah. I we live in a world where we have to push norms on people because we need to be comfortable and we need to be familiar. We need to understand things. So we want to push those things. You know, you said soldier life probably had some benefits, but good gods, it must be a horrid fate. Absolutely. Like I told my husband, I was like, sir, I'm just letting you know, you cannot ever like you can't be a police officer, you cannot be a firefighter, you cannot join any of the armies. What other what other positions are there that are dangerous like that? You can't be any of those things. I was just like, you can't because I can't take it. Like I know you could step outside and go for a walk and get hit by a car, but I'd rather that just happen because happenstance rather than you literally putting yourself in danger. I can't you can't do that for me. You can't intentionally put yourself in danger. He said also as a general, he will not be able to give a fulfilling marriage to his partner. Exactly. Not at all. And that's the thing that it's just like you gotta you gotta understand that. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. It just the woman didn't consider anything. She just like I'm wondering if maybe she feels that way just because like she's a princess, and so it's just kind of like I'm the princess. So one day, I don't know, like it's she's not used to having no being like an answer that she gets $3. It's just like it's just like yes, that's lovely. Oh, I love this little sticker too. That's so cute. um she says I understand Morsi and Gumang, they want to protect their country and that's the reason they go to war, not because they want to invade. It's different. It is absolutely different and the sticker is so cute. To be honest, as much as I love Morsi, I won't be his wife until he agrees to retire. I love that. Yeah, like even if I were the princess and he did like me or love me and want to get married, yeah, you'd have to retire first. I love that. Who are you? Uh, I don't want to say this wrong. So I'm sorry if I say this wrong. I'm just gonna I'll boom lover. I'll boom lover. Oh no, you retracted the message. I liked the message. I was trying to say your name correctly. Anyway, thank you for joining. I don't think I've ever seen you before, so it's nice to see you. I'm gonna keep going now then. Moving to chapters 148 and no 147 and 48 because they're rumors part 1, rumors part 2. So Gumang decides to tell Morsi about what he observed with Mu Zhonglian. Like at first he wasn't going to, but then he decides to say it. And Morsi is not surprised at all because he's been noting a lot of strange behavior from Mu Zhonglian recently, behavior that he finds to be very contradictory. And so he recalls specific incidents like when Zhou He came to take him from the black magic experiments. Mu Zhonglian just happened to show up to try to stop him and say that he needs to take him for black magic experiments. And when he fails, he gives Gumang this ring that's supposedly supposed to make him aware of his condition, And then, of course, when he couldn't get him, he went to the academy to warn Jiang Yexue to warn Morsi, knowing that Morsi would do nothing less than go save Gumong. So, of course, there are the two theories to be considered from Morsi's end. He's like, either one, he really was giving you the ring to see if your life would be threatened by the experiments, and he would have come and defied the imperial edict to protect you without me being present. Or two, that ring was not for tracking your condition at all, but had another purpose, which Gumag had already said before, like in his mind, that maybe it was to protect him. And so both of them, though, do find his addiction to ephemera to be puzzling, which we've already run over that before. Oh, and this is the part, I think, Freya, you mentioned it earlier, but this is the part where Morsi is like, maybe it's for self-preservation. But Gumang notes that given Mu Zhonglian's competitive and cunning nature, that there's no current reason for him to like start using it at the time that he started using it, because he's always been, you know, competitive. Like in the past he wasn't using it, and he was still very, you know, competitive and a threat to the emperor. So there's that. And then he's like, of course he's still comparing himself to you, yada yada yada. So then we move to part 2 of rumors. And one second, hold on. Ooh. Can I, how do I, okay, no, I don't do that. Oh no, y'all forgive me, I was pushing buttons that I shouldn't have been pushing. So then in the next rumors, we have rumors circulating from these 3 nobles of the plumed battalion, suggesting that Gumang was involved sexually with the princess. And Morsi ends up clarifying that, yes, I slept with someone. Hold on. Yes, I slept with someone, but it wasn't the princess. And boy, does this like send people in a tizzy. And so it's just crazy to see that he finally let that out. I was like, oh, is that how we're doing this? Okay, fine. Sure, Mushy, let's just go ahead and put it out there like that. And so, you know, he goes on and he's like, look, I'm tired. There have been rumors going on with me and Princess Mungza for over a decade, and I haven't said a word, but like, I am at my wits' end now. I'm so tired of y'all saying this stuff. So, like, I slept with someone and it wasn't the princess. I don't plan on ever marrying the princess. And I was glad that he went ahead and finally said that, because let them know. Let them know. And then we move on to these rumors actually revealing that Mu Zhonglian, like Mu Zhonglian's father's past, that he was betrothed to Mu Zhonglian's mother, who was a talented and beautiful woman, but he fell for a low-born girl. But he still married Mu Zhonglian's mother. What was her name? I can't remember it at the moment. It's somewhere else later in my notes. But he still married her due to the pressures of, well, the emperor. So then there are like also rumors that claimed that Yue Juntian, which is Yue Chengqing's and Jiang Yeshua's father, disapproved of Mu Zhongshen in some kind of way, that they didn't like each other. And so he like had this story that he told the emperor that maybe she was a spy from the Liao kingdom, forcing them apart. And there was another rumor that she's a brothel girl. So we don't know what the truth is at this point when we're in this chapter. And, you know, Morsi also mentions that the people who spread the rumors, the person, Mu Zhonglie, spoke out against Mu Zhongshen, insisting that, you know, Morsi sees the princess as, he spoke out against Mu Zhongshen, and now he's trying to do like all the same things he did before to Morsi, you know, but he's like, that's not going to happen. What you did to him, I'm not going to let you do to me. Like, history will not be repeating itself here. So let me look at some comments really quick. I hope I haven't missed too many. I feel like I'm bringing a lot of, oh, hold on. You said album R Thai BL ship, by the way. Oh, cool. Did I pronounce it right though? Album? Or is it like Aoboom? You just, if you can give me the phonetic pronunciation, I'd love to know how to pronounce that. Then Eva says, I feel I'm bringing a lot of understanding of army mechanics from Chapelang. Yeah, I do think reading Xiaopolang was very interesting, but also very helpful in learning some things. Um, and then we're just welcoming. Yes, I was wondering if the ring was from their dad. Someone else mentioned that earlier too, so it more than likely is probably. It's just we want to know what the ring does. What does it do? Who is it from, Dad? What does it do? And then it said it must be sapphire colors and robes. Our robes too. He wears right family color. Yes, I believe it's sapphire. Don't quote me on that. He says, ha 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 ha. Can you imagine though, Morsi, who was never with anyone all the time in military? Yeah, I know. If I was one of the soldiers, yeah, I'd be like, you you slept with someone? You had sex? I'd be so surprised. Oh my gosh. I'm sure that was such a shock to them. And to find out it wasn't Princess Mungsa, like I'm sure they were in double shock. It was just like, oh my god. Morsi, General Moore, stepdad. Who's our stepmom then? It's like, oh yes. So it had to be everyone in the army back then. Yeah, absolutely. So let me move on then to chapter 149, which I think we're almost in the end. Yeah, somewhat. Vision of Chuntong. So the Gorcher has the a shrapnel of the Shenwu armor, and it still is powerful, even though it's only like a shrapnel. But this is powerful enough to defend against like 10,000 soldiers. So he gives this to this messenger, has them put it up or whatever. And this is an artifact that was assumed to be missing by people. And so Morsi, during this time, he also sends out 10 top secret cultivators, Gumang being one of them, to locate this wisp of demon blood beast soul. So Kumang ventures out on his own and he experiences this like agonizing headache and dizziness, and he has a vision of Chuntong. And in this vision, Chuntong appears to be speaking to Huapuan, telling him that his ambitions will fail and that he'll never be more than like a wretched disciple from the Cultivation Academy. Which I was wondering, like, is this is there some kind of overlap, or is this like something to do with Gumang as well? Is something being directed at him, suggesting some kind of like manipulation, like because he's seen Chuntong before. So I just don't understand why Chuntong keeps coming up and how he and Gumong are related. So even though the guy was talking to Huapuan, I'm like, has something happened that there was an overlap and this was actually happening to Gumong? Because even in that moment, Gumong was like, I can accomplish what I want, blah, blah, blah. Like he felt that emotion rise up in him. It could have been just because of the words that were said, but I don't know about this vision. I don't know about this vision at all. And it's also confusing because of what we knew about Chuntong teaching cultivation to anybody. Like he did not discriminate. I kind of had this thought in my mind that he was a good person, like he was kind, but seeing this vision it shows that maybe he was not kind. Yeah. And so I just don't know. I need more information about that. And eventually, Gumang is able to get rid of the illusion by using Yongye to slice his palm or whatever. And then he pulls out this compass to find the wisp of soul. And it points toward himself. I feel like that was very intentional. Even though he looked behind him and it was pointing to the heart of Datsa City. I feel like Meat Bun put that in there intentionally that it pointed to Gumang. I mean, yes, he has the demon blood beast like somewhat in him, but I was just like, Gumang. Y'all know. Y'all already know where I'm going. So do I even need to say it? And Inaba says, kind of love the eye collection of artifacts thing Creep Gorsher has such an ick imagery. Yeah. Crosswires and experiments. Yeah. Also, there's lots of rumor theming in the story right now. Gumang, show us your pockets. Yeah, I'm just like, just I can't put it all together because I'm not a story writer like that. As much as I like to pretend I am when I make stories on Chat GPT, but I'm just like, Gumong, are you this purification beast or have anything to do with it? Yes, Stacy, it completely threw me off. I was just like, okay. So then, speaking of the Guosher, yeah, we go to chapter 150, Nine-Eyed Chin. Well, Gumong reaches the governor's mansion, which I was concerned when he decided to go on his own. I was like, should we maybe call for like backup in this moment? That might be a good idea. Maybe no. Okay, sure. Let's just go by ourselves. And that's where the Guosher is located. And he easily bypasses the guards. He just uses a spell to make them go nighty night. And then eventually he uses another one to make them obey his commands. The Guosher, though, even with Gumong's mask on, already knows it's him. And he begins to talk excessively. And so Gumong, that is a tell for Gumong. He was like, you normally don't talk this much. Attack! And so we learned that the Guosher had spent 2 full days and 2 full nights, just one away from being like Jesus, without rest, playing his guillotine to like control or awaken or soothe or help the demon blood beast. And this has drained his spiritual energy a lot. And a this guillotine is a terrifyingly clever instrument. Like knowing what it's all made out of and everything, especially when we get to the eyes and incorporating the techniques of other cultivators into it and those being able to be used, it's disgusting, but it's very clever in a disgusting, terrifying way. And so, of course, the Guosher had been expecting Gumong all along, and he wanted Gumong to activate his demonic chi in his body throughout the fight. Despite the increase in pain that Gumong is feeling from his demonic chi, he's pushing past all of this and he breaks, the barrier that the Guosher had put up around the beast, and he is able to get the beast and bind the beast and put him in his little Qianquan pouch from who? Which I think I mentioned it in the very first video for this volume, that someone theorized that the Qianquan pouch was possibly given to Gumong by the emperor, and I totally am agreeing with this theory. Anyway, because we still don't know who gave him the Tianquin pouch. So anyway, we move to chapter 151, Lone Wolf Unsealed. So the black magic chi in Gumong's body is starting to take control, and he's put himself in big risk. So he's racing back to deliver the beast to the camp, but he's not sure he's going to make it to Moshi. So in desperation, he's running. He's near Mu Zhonglian's camp, and he's like, Mu Zhonglian! And of course, Mu Zhonglian is like, I'm just trying to sit here and smoke my ephemera and like watch the fight, but not actually participate. Who is this raggedy mofo that is trying to like get my attention? And so that scene had me dying. I'm not even gonna laugh when he called out Muralian's name because it was just like so I don't know, it was just so unexpected. He said, oh, that was so funny. I love how clever Gumong is in battle. He is very, very clever. You said, haha, I write, so I catch some droppings here and there. Yes, nice. I write too, but the writing I do is not the same. Like, actually, I've written 2 small books of poetry before and published them. And then now it's not being published until November the 3rd, but I'm actually publishing a memoir about, well, myself. I guess about some of the trauma that I faced and like trying to like how I process it and heal from it. And it's different from like regular memoirs that normally people are writing about what they experienced in the past. I do write about some of the past, but I actually talk about the trauma like while I'm in the process of healing from it and the things that are happening like in real time, and how I use like music and the Chinese language, well, specifically Mandarin, to like help me. Anyway, so I write, but that's not fiction, you know? So some things I'm not able to always theorize as good as some other people. So it's just like more power to you for writing fiction and stuff like that. Whatever it is that you write. What kind of stuff do you write? um, because it is not easy. It's much easier for me to just write about things that I can directly correlate with. And then the other kind of writing I do is, I'm not doing it anymore, but I used to be a singer-songwriter. So I've released albums and EPs and singles and stuff. So I wrote a lot of music, which again is a different kind of writing than writing stories. So, you know. Anyway, that was such a segue. Going to chapter, we're already on the Lone Wolf Unsealed. So, where did I leave off? So, Mu Zhonglian, he's like, I'm not going to take this pouch, because Gumang is like, take this pouch to Morsi. Mu Zhonglian is like, aren't you using black magic techniques? And you have a mask on. I don't know who you are. Who are you? And so, of course, the only way that Gumang can reveal himself without revealing himself to everybody is to mention that he came over to visit because he missed Auntie Ni. And that gave him away. So then, of course, to stop the Guosher and his guards, to stop the Guosher and the people, whatever, I guess I'll call them guards, that were with him from intercepting Mu Zhonglian, Gumang draws a sigil on his chest, invoking Lone Wolf Unsealed. Like, that is the phrase that he uses. This sigil puts him at risk of being consumed by the black magic chi. And after this, he'll lose his ability to cast spells, to use black magic or Chongqua techniques, like everything. So he's taking away a lot from himself by doing this, which is very concerning. And we have, going to chapter 152 and 153, 52 being confrontation before the troops, Mu Zhonglian runs to deliver this pouch, but he's being pursued. And of course, just as he gets almost hit by this lady or whatever, and he's speaking all dirty, filthy to her and everything. And she's like, oh, I've never been talked to like this in my life before. I'm going to strike you or whatever. But anyway, just as she's like about to try to do that, who shows up and saves the day? Morsi. So yeah, he arrives and he gets the pouch or whatever. And he's like, where's Gumang? What happened to him? And the Guosher is like, I have him. Ha! I felt like Hermes just then from the Epic the musical. But anyway, in this moment, he's like, very simple trade. You just give me the pouch and I'll give you Gumang. And for the first time ever, the soldiers see Morsi hesitating. And of course, they still don't realize that Gumang is masked because, the Guosher hasn't revealed anything at that moment. You said, I write a lot of different books, but none of them are publishing ready. Oh, well, when are you going to publish them? I'd buy it. I'd support you. I say, even if it's something that I don't read, I'd still support you and just buy it anyway. You said, I wanted to see that fight so bad. He's like, no, I don't want to fight. You said, I hoard unfinished projects. I see. I have like an arsenal of unfinished songs. But the only reason they're unfinished is just because I've transitioned away from writing music anymore. But sometimes, like every now and then, I still end up writing something, but I'm not gonna do anything with it. That's just not a part of my life anymore. So I feel you on the hoarding of unfinished projects, but I would love for you to finish something. He said, damn, camera tilt away from that fight is so rude, meat bun. She's like, let's look over here instead. So then Jasmine says, I hate that I come to this, but I hate that I come to this, but I think decided that I love / and annoyed by Mu Zhonglian. This scene is so funny. You know, I think in the very beginning there were several people who were like, "I'm gonna be so mad if at some point Mi Thun makes me like or love Mu Zhonglian." And I was like, "Well, since you said it, that's probably what's gonna happen." Yeah, I don't hate Mu Zhonglian. I won't say I love him or like him just yet, but I don't hate him. So I'm sorry for you, Jasmine, but like he said he was too set up not to have that happen. Yeah. You were pre annoyed. So then we have chapter 153 retaking the hostage. Moisi appears to choose Gumang's life over duty to the nation. And Mu Zhonglian is like, the hell are you doing? But once he gets close enough, he says the word invoke, which activates Gumang's Lotus Sword Array sigil on his neck. Ow, that kind of hurt. So the Guoshu was expecting the attack, but he wasn't expecting that attack. And so he put up the defensive barrier or anything, but Gumang's swords were like, shing, 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 or whatever. And then Morsi was able to get Gumang, and immediately the sing, sing, sing turned into because they turned into feathers. So he got Gumang back, and the princess is treating the fallen soldiers, Wu Zhonglian, and Gumang's wounds. Well, not just the princess and the medical people. So then what do? We have the Guoshu reveal Gumang's identity, which I was listening to one of my videos the other day because I posted something on TikTok where I said I was concerned about the Guoshu, and I was like, yeah, Gumang's identity is going to get revealed. And what happened? The Guoshu decides to reveal Gumang's identity, and a soldier is about to remove Gumang's mask, and he does this because he don't want to fight no more. He uses this chance to run away. And the soldier is about to remove Gumang's mask, and the princess stops him, and he was like, hey, military protocol. This cannot be removed unless the emperor or the commander said so. So you're breaking the law, take him away. Or you were trying to break the law, take him away. And so everyone realizes that the masked person must be Gumang because Morsi is not a guy who likes misunderstandings, and he would have ripped that mask off just to prove a point. But he didn't. So they know. And now everyone's perception of him has completely changed. Everyone is seeing him like they've lost their respect. They're questioning him and his loyalty and everything. And it's just like, you guys, there's more to the story, even though he can't share it yet. There's more. Like, come on. And so, of course, she mentioned the Northern Frontier Army, his old soldiers. They were kind of like I would love to have more of their perspective and be more in their mind to see like how they reacted mentally and what was going on in there from their perspective, from the Wangba army perspective. Anyway, Morsi tells the princess the truth about Gumang's role as a spy, and this causes her deep regret because of some things that she's like said to him, even though not a lot, and she was still very respectful, and just like thoughts that she's had about him. And the princess says, even in the midst of this, that she eventually wants Morsi to reveal the identity of the person he loves, even if it's unconventional, implying that she already suspects it's Gumang. It's Gumang that you love, right? Just go ahead and tell me. And she says, I don't think it's wrong as long as it's if it's the person you love. So yeah, I don't know if she's saying, I don't think it's wrong if it's the person you love, as in, as long as someone loves someone, then the love is never wrong. Or if she's saying, I don't think it's wrong if it's the person you specifically love. There's no telling how she meant that. Since you're Morsi, whoever you love, clearly it's not wrong. I don't know. So then we get to chapter 154, which is Alian attacked And really quickly, let me just review the comments, make sure I'm not missing anything important. Um, I loved when he kept talking, he kept shit talking those soldiers who were like 2 seconds from killing him. Yes. I don't know how to feel about him. LOL. Yeah. Are you talking about Mu Zhonglian? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't dislike him as much as I did in the beginning. So I just don't know like where I stand. Give me a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Um he said yes. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, he really did send them into disarray with that knowledge that he just like spilled out. So then in this chapter, Alian attacked, we have Gumang, who was pretending to be asleep every time Morsi came to see him while he was in his recovery, partly because he's bad at goodbyes and his memories are fading rapidly and he just doesn't know how to face Morsi. And so that's really sad because it's just like Morsi really wants to see you, but you don't know how to deal with what's actively happening to you and your illness, if you will. So then eventually, he wakes up, even though he was always awake, and Mu Zhonglian visits the tent to have a private conversation with him. And instead of having the private conversation in that tent and maybe asking Princess Mengzi to leave, he decides to take him somewhere else, out in the foresty parts of the world or whatever, to have this conversation. And Gumang is possibly about to answer a question that Mu Zhonglian had, but Mu Zhonglian doesn't even get to like ask the question. So at first, Mu Zhonglian is like, "Do you remember anything?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And he was like, "You just remembered a couple days ago." He was like, "Well, yeah, I remembered that a couple days ago, hmm but I don't remember today." And Mu Zhonglian was like, "You're so useless. Why didn't you tell me the truth then?" Because he wanted to ask his questions then, but you were pretending to still be Wolfgaga. So the conversation got erupted though when whatever question he was about to ask, and we have these assassins that suddenly attack, and they're specifically targeting Mu Zhonglian, intending to kill him and frame Gumang for the attempt. So then going from chapters, kind of put them together, 55 through 57, which is Mu Zhonglian's memories part 1 and 2, and then the hero's ribbon he could never wear, which is all memory. I mean, assassins got an assassin. I mean, right. If the assassins don't assassin, then who assassins? The non-assassins? Regular citizens? Like the guy who works at the grocery store? So, in the chapters 155 through 157, we have Mu Zhonglian again being attacked, Gumang unharmed, and he's like trying to get Gumang to run. But Gumang's not running because Gumang is a fool. But while Mu Zhonglian is injured, Gumang is what am I trying to say? He asks if Gumang has truly forgotten all the memories concerning him. And that hurt me so much when I read it because it's like it was a sad moment because it was like, oh, like he's concerned about Gumang not remembering him. Like, oh. Anyway, so he taps Gumang's chest, tells him to run, as he can't defend himself, and he's like, Gumang doesn't make it anywhere. He does not escape. And Mu Zhonglian is like, to be honest, I never. And then he doesn't get to finish that sentence. So I'm like, you never what? To be honest, I never truly hated you. To be honest, I always saw you as my friend. Or to be honest, I always wanted to be your friend, Muti. Like, what did you want to say? I'm upset. Can y'all tell I'm upset? I am upset because Meat Bun does not like me. I mean, we're in this together, but I'm just speaking solely for myself to say that she does not like me. Why are people not being able to finish their sentences? Like even with Auntie Lean, when he was having his little memory, and she was about to say the reason why he should never quarrel with or leave, and then a soldier was like, "Hey, Gumong," well, not Gumong, but Special Envoy, and I was like, "Me bun, you are constantly doing this to me, and I don't like you at all." Anyway, Gumon cannot escape when the soldiers from the Plumed Battalion arrive. But this beam of light emerges from where Mu Zhonglian had tapped him on the chest, and it forms a butterfly, which transports him into Mu Zhonglian's memories. So, before I keep reading, because I see something really quick, you said you love the whole butterfly memory thing. I thought that was so cool. Yes, NFS. I was like, this is lit. And then you said there are so many techniques she is using for flashbacks and memories. It's pretty cool. But I don't understand how Muzhong Lian shared his memory. That I don't know either. How did he even get the butterfly thingy there in the first place? Because it had to be there before now. So maybe his illusion magic delivery system. Yes. The whole interaction between Gumong and MRL was so good. It was. And I was like, give me more. Give me more. Yes. Muting, because he was like, actually, I always just wanted to be your friend. I'm like, it was that what Mu Zhonglian was going to say? I mean, they got Mu in their name, so Mu. I'm just, you said finish sentence. What? It's impossible to drama without what, NFS? Do you want me to dislike you too? So then in MRL's memories, we have this young Mu Zhonglian who is repeatedly belittled by his mother and the academy elders, basically telling him he will never amount to anything. And it's just like also another reason to consider why he would be using ephemera. It could be also that he's like, well, people think I'm going to amount to nothing, so why not just fulfill that? That's a possibility. Also, do you guys like my ephemera pipe? I think it's beautiful. Okay. So at 4 or 5 years old, we have Mu Zhonglian who goes out to buy sweets. And this is clearly part of his like plan to apologize to Gumong for pushing him off the swing and causing such a bad injury. And when he arrives home, he's like, okay, heads, I apologize. Tails, I eat this box myself. And it lands on heads. And so he's like, fine, it's just an apology. And I just thought that was so adorable. See, this meat bun shows me him as a child to make me like him. I don't appreciate it. But she's like, he was going to go apologize to Gumong. But when he arrives at the door, he overhears his mother scolding Auntie Lean for not telling her about Gumong's injury right away. And he learns that he and Gumong are half brothers. But in that moment, he thinks that Gumong is her real child, and he was adopted or something like that. And she was like, how could I give birth to such an ugly baby? Which I don't believe he was ugly. But anyway, so we learn of the connection they have. So this is where finally I was like, got it. So Mu Zhonglian is not in love with Gumong. That theory was incorrect, but I'm still not mad at having my theory. They're actually half brothers. Well, that's nice to know. And she tells him he's not allowed to share this information, any of the information that she shares with him, and puts a painful sigil on his hand. And she's like, don't think I'm cruel for doing this to you. Man, that was pretty cruel. Okay. So then his mother's name, yes, here it is, Zhao Susu. Why couldn't I remember Susu? It's just the same word twice, minus the Zhao. Okay, Zhao Susu loved Mu Zhongxuan from the first time she saw him playing on his Guqin or whatever. But she set herself up for failure because he clearly went to her seeing that she liked him, but because he could tell that she liked him, she decided to be haughty and all stuck up about it, like, I don't like you. Who would like you? Not me. And that put a bad taste in his mouth. So, really, it's possible that he could have fallen in love with her, but she ruined it herself because of her own personality. So, anyway, he very much disliked her, fell in love with this commoner, Miss Chu. And the late emperor forbade him from marrying Miss Chu because he already promised Murong Xuan to Zhao Susu. So this is the moment why I say when I think it was you NFS who asked, is it worse that he slept with like a dude or what was your question? Like, is it worse that it's a dude or now I gotta find it. Mhm, mhm. You know what you said. um But I said it's possible that oh yeah, is it worse that it's a commoner or a dude? And that's why I said it's probably worse that it's a dude because in that part of the story it said that it's not that it was impossible for the emperor to allow him to wed the lady, but he had already promised Murong to someone else, which to me is like, why are you promising people without the people's approval? Like, at least the man's approval, because then we know how they treat women. So couldn't you get Murong Xuan's approval first before you just dumped him off to Zhao Susu? Okay. And so his compromise, the late emperor or whatever, was like, okay, here's what we can do. I can elevate Chu's rank and allow her to become a concubine. Uh, uh. But Murong Shan was like, no, absolutely not. And so Yue Tian, he spread the rumors, and we finally learn the real rumor is that he spread the rumor that Miss Chu was a spy or a devil, or I'm going to say a witch, which resulted in her being imprisoned in the Asura room for experimentation, which is where just another layer of why I have my theory about Gumong being the purification beast or part of the purification beast or something along those lines, or maybe it was her and then who knows, because it has to be like okay, anyway, maybe it's not Gumong, maybe it was his mother, I don't know. Anyway, Zhao Susu was unaware of the truth, and she believed that Murong Xuan loved her because she's an idiot blind woman, right? And the fake Miss Chu was released from the Asura room, and during battle, Murong Lian found out about, Murong Xuan discovered the deception, and he was so infuriated and hurt that it caused him immense suffering. He clearly was distracted on the battlefield, and he got himself hurt, and he got himself killed. And so meanwhile, Zhao Susu was pregnant with Mu Zhonglian, so she didn't even get to like have a marriage. She was already turned into a widow, and she eventually discovers these love letters that Mu Zhongshan sent to Miss Chu, finding out that the man never loved her. He loved Miss Chu. And she also finds out that Miss Chu is frozen in the Asura room because of course she, goes off on her family and everything. But she also goes to the Asura room to beat up, basically, to vent her anger on Miss Chu, only to find her frozen, disfigured on the face, and pregnant. And I remember one of my theories earlier in the thingy was that Miss Chu was, at the time it was Auntie Lean, but I thought that Auntie Lean was the woman that Mu Zhongshan was in love with. And then Gumong said it. And then Moshi was like, no. So I was like, maybe my theory's wrong then. But that was a theory that was right. So I feel good about this. um, Anyway, she ends up showing Miss Chu mercy and saving her and the child from the Asura room. And Miss Chu is renamed Auntie Lean from Lean On, which was part of the reason why I had that theory. But anyway, she brought them back to the Wangshu Manor, and she became auntie to Gumong rather than mom. So let me just read some comments because I know I definitely missed some. Do we think, also in the general tent by Sandbox Thingy, do we think he wasn't comparing himself to Fireball, but to his brother? That's probably a very, very strong possibility. But I just don't know. Like, because his mother compared him to both of them. So in the moment, I don't know which him he was talking about, because he didn't say them. 1106. Okay. He just said him. So yeah, it's like, were you talking about your brother or were you talking about Moshi? And I'm gonna assume at this moment, just because of the story and how it was going at the time, he was probably talking about Morsi, only because Morsi had given such an amazing, elaborate plan earlier that day that had everybody like invested, and even like Gumang was like, "This is absolutely amazing." So I'm gonna say it was Morsi because it makes sense. Like, that's what's most present and pressing in front of him at the moment, and he did not know at the time that Gumang was there. That's what I'm gonna say. You said bad assassins for drama. We need to get those unfinished sentences. Yes. Who gave them? I didn't give them permission to show up before that question was completed. So where they come from? And little Mujong Lian was actually cute. Yeah, he was very cute. And I saw the picture. I don't have the book in front of me right now, but I saw the picture of him and I was like, he's so cute. Meat bun. Don't make me like bad people. Okay. Like, just don't, because okay, so also another note, which I think I said at the end of the video, obviously I don't like the Quasher, but I do like voice acting him, and so I was like, please bring him back just so I can be a little bit more chaotic again. I like him, and I want to fall into a fit of giggles, crazed giggles and stuff with his character. Does that make me crazy? Because I like to voice a crazy character and I want to do it so I can like have more fun with it. Okay. Anyway. You say, yeah, brothers. I was so pumped. Yes, it was so interesting to get these chapters. But Freya says maybe the sigil is the reason MRL still can't talk about it. Yeah, actually, yeah. Probably because he'll experience extreme pain. Like, he can talk about it, but he probably won't be able to finish that sentence because it'll hurt too bad. Although Gumang has shown that no matter how bad something hurts, you can still talk, but that Gumang's a different beast. Oh my gosh, no pun intended. Okay. So depends on how long Gumang's mom was under ice. Gumang is probably the older brother. Yes, so he is the older brother because at some point, Auntie Lean was like, when the lady was taking him away, when Susu was trying to take him away, she was like, he's just so terrified of being a big brother. So he is the big brother. He's the first brother. Maybe the ring doesn't recognize. Oh, maybe the ring does not recognize Mujong Lian as the heir to the house, and if that's the case, he can't talk about it because of his mom's array. Interesting. I feel betting on Meat Bun is like betting on Morsi's lover. I don't bet on Meat Bun. I don't bet on Meat Bun. Anne says, I love doing that too sometimes, reading aloud and voicing people acting crazy. Yes, you do evil cackle really well, to be fair. Lean into your talents, I guess. That's so funny. No, because like I've acted a lot, like since I was a little kid. I've always wanted to be a performer. At one point I thought I wanted to like perform music, but at some point I was like, okay, I think I really want to get more into acting. And I have played bad people before, not all the time, but like when I was little and at church and everything, I played a priest who was like speaking against Jesus or something like that. I don't remember, but my mother like made, because we're a very creative family, she made my outfit and the hat and all of that stuff, and I was a pretty bad person. And then like in college I was in several musicals and stuff, and in one of them, Little Shop of Horrors, the three urchins, they weren't bad, but they were like also not good. And I just liked those characters because they were kind of pushing like the story with this plant that could eat you and like showing no concern or care for the main character at all. But I like that. I love a good villain. Like, it is my favorite thing. Forget about the protagonist. Let's look at the villain. Ugh, I love good villains. And I'll tell you, my favorite villain voice is Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. He just has such an amazing voice. Not that I can do it, but I love a great villain. And I love when those villains have like an amazing voice. And not necessarily like a good or sexy or something voice, but just the voice is like lit. Okay. Random segue. Let's get back on topic. So we have, you said, ooh. So anyway, we have Miss Yu, like I said, renamed to Auntie Lean. And there was this lullaby that we get to see that was said by Auntie Lean. And the words are red high tongue, yellow high tongue, floating gently in the wind. Children in land far away, missing their mom and dad. If you want to know what that sounds like in Mandarin, it's Hong Hai Tang, Huang Hai Tang. 依照风吹都有样，小童想鹤在远方，令人牵挂爹和娘. There you go. And I'll share it in the Bane. Mari-chan was not in my pickup car, but here we are. I love him so much. And let me give you all the opinion as well. Hold on. Yeah, so that is how you say it. And if you guys remember, based on the direction of the lines, that'll tell you how to pronounce the words. So if I just keep this pinned really quickly, red high tongue, Hong Hai Tang. So Hong Hai Tang, Huang Hai Tang, 一朝风吹都有样，小童相和在远方，令人牵挂爹和娘. So, although you get my pointing while saying it. So anyway, there's that. I can unpin that message now. Anyway, let's go forth. So this was kind of a sad lullaby, but why would we be singing sad lullabies to children? Like even the ring around the rosies, pockets full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all go down. That's really sad. And Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Why do we have these sad lullabies for children? Anyway, so while he's being sung this melody and, trying to go to sleep or whatever, he wishes that Auntie Lean could be his mother. And he says it out loud. Wouldn't it be great if you were my mom? Gulong! She is your mom! But she can only acknowledge you as your auntie. And it makes me so sad. Anyway, on her deathbed, Auntie Lean asks, or Miss Chu, asks Gumang to not resent Madame Zhao or Mu Zhonglian, explaining they were living pitiful lives too, shaped by their circumstances and not just like natural cruelty. And Gumang reflects on his birth and his upbringing and ultimately decides that he would rather be his loyal lower class person self than to be of nobility. Like he'd rather stick with his Wangba army people than to like claim his birthright and be among the haughty nobles. I'm sorry, the compassionate, loving, considerate nobles. Yes, London Bridge is falling down as well. What do we do? He said, because kids need caution. I didn't get any caution from those. They did not make me a cautious person. So then we move on to the hero's ribbon thingy, where one day in the past still, Gumang sees the blue ribbon from his father and places it on himself. And Mu Zhonglian sees it, he snatches it off in a panic, recalling his mother's warnings that Gumang was very, very capable and he could one day find out his origin and fight to be the the ruler of Wangshu Manor. And so then eventually they get back to the capital, and Mu Zhonglian seeks a magical tool to I'm sorry, not Mu Zhonglian. Why do I have it here? Hold on. Someone, who was it? Zhao He. That was the person's name. I don't know why I put Muzhonglian. Zhao He goes to the emperor because he's seeking a magical tool that will accumulate the chi of the spirit beast. And amid that, Yue Juntian is off with all of his children right now in recovery. Amid that, there are rumors about Morsi and Gumang going all throughout the capital. Everybody's saying something. And Morsi insists on taking Gumang back to his residence, even though where he is now in the palace is not like for imprisonment for real, even though that's what people are told is for recovery. And the emperor is like, my guy, like, are you sure that's the best idea? Like, I'm not sure if it would be safe. Just make sure no one knows. And of course, in the midst of him saying, we're not sure if it's safe, but he eventually relents, what happens? It's not safe in the capital. I mean, in the palace. So there we go. Chapter 158. The final straw, and chapter 159, the knife's edge. So someone that's black clad, because everyone likes to be black clad, breaks into Gumang's prison, claiming that Muzhonglian knows too much. So what does he know? And that was why they were targeting to kill him and everything. So what does he know exactly? And this intruder, his sole purpose is to destabilize Gumang's mind, to push him into the demon beast thing. The demon beast thing. That was very profound of me. And this was something that we already received a warning for from Zhang Fuli, that he was like, he cannot suffer another shock or he's going to lose it. Well, Gumang is like, let me prepare myself. All right, no matter what he says, I'm not going to let him take control of my mind. Bow of calamity. Oh, so that, I mean, Gumang failed epically. It's like, sir, he literally said 3 words in English. I don't know how many words it was in Mandarin, but you failed. All he had to do was reveal that little truth to you, and you just lost it. And so, this man, oh my gosh, he's just talking so bad to Gumang, because he's like, it's your secrecy that has caused all these problems, your secrecy with the emperor. And if you had been honest with Morsi, Morsi wouldn't have suffered. The people that you love wouldn't have suffered. Like, if I cared about Morsi, like, I wouldn't want him to never have met you before. And he's really just emphasizing that Morsi endured severe criticism for having a traitor in their midst, implying that, like, it's Morsi's responsibility for what happened to Gumang, but then turning it and blaming Gumang from forcing him to have to uphold that kind of responsibility from the nobles and everyone. And so he just really driving home this guilt on the suffering that Morsi endured, and the Muzhong, like even mentioning Muzhonglian and Lu Jianxing and everything. And it's awful. This man knows exactly how to twist the knife and everything. And Morsi, he charges in there, even though the emperor and that guard are like, no, don't go. Actually, no, they're more like Willy Wonka when he's like, stop, no, don't, come back. Yeah, because no one tried to stop him. So anyway, Morsi quickly realizes that the assassin wasn't there to kill Gumang like the person thought, but to push him over the edge, triggering his demonic chi in his body. And he eventually, from hearing all the things that Gumang is spilling out while he's choking him to death, that he knows about the vow of calamity. And so Gumang is mutating, and he's losing his lucidity. He's attacking Morsi, and I'm just like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And I should have brought the book in here with me, because that final picture was so good. Like, I think it was literally the last page. Morsi, he endures the pain that he's feeling, which is said it felt like 1,000 cuts or something. And he is trying to literally reach Gumang, and he places his hand on the lotus sigil to like activate it. And he just holds Gumang, like both of their sigils activate, and it's like they're recognizing each other. And since they are, of course, the swords are not swords, they're feathers. And this is kind of making the demonic chi go away. And he's just like pleading with Gumang. He's like, yes, I took the vow. Yes, I'm a foolish man. So I need you to stay here and help me out, because I'm foolish. So like, get it together, baby. I need you to like look into my eyes. Look at me right here. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I did it because I wanted to do it. And you need to watch out for me because I want to do some crazy things sometimes, right? And so we see that Gumang like calms down. He regains his consciousness, and Morsi is just like reassuring him. He's like, "Don't be a demon. Don't blame yourself, and don't leave me." And I was just like, "Oh my god." So that was how it ended. That was how it ended. Law abiding nobles, absolutely. Upstanding citizens of society. So he said the whole lifetime of what communication couldn't have solved. Yes. A theme for Meat Bun. Otherwise, yeah, we wouldn't have another book, right? We have to have all these miscommunications and not talking and having secrets and stuff because if we don't, then like we're only going to have one book, maybe two at most. So, um, let's see, the Black Hat Man, how does he know so much? That is exactly what I asked in the end of that video. I was like, how does he know these thoughts? Because these are things that like some of these things are things that Gumang thought, but has not shared out loud. So who is this man? And then of course my random ass self was like, Chuntong. Just throw him out there because where have you been? And you've been showing up in just like random moments, but it's probably not Chuntong. But anyway, I'm just like, who is this Black Lad man? And how does he know Gumang's thoughts? And how does he know all of this stuff? But the other thing that I noticed about this man is that I'm doing the recap right now, is that he noticed, I mean, when he was talking, he said we. Did I put this in my notes? Um, Crap. I did not put that in my notes, which I should have. But while the man was talking, he said we or us is speaking as if he were a citizen of Chonghua. Like it was really weird. So I was like, okay, is he, because we never saw him like do anything. So we don't know if he was, used black magic to get in. But also because the place was so impenetrable, it's just, I don't know. I'm suspicious of his identity and wondering if he is someone from Chonghua, because when he was talking to Gumang, he said we. I wish I had the book right next to me. I don't know why I don't have it. Oh, because I'm packing and I probably put it in the box by accident. But yeah, so let's just see. I kind of suspect he's someone from their circle of people. Jiang Yeshe. No, I'm kidding. It's like he could walk along. Let me stop. Let me leave Jiang Yeshe alone right now. Or the emperors or something. Well, it's not the emperor because the emperor was like out there with them. So it's not the emperor, but it could be someone. Well, I was about to say close to the emperor, but like relationship wise, there's no one close to the emperor. um, he said, "Just hope another suspicion of mine won't come true." Oh my gosh, what's your suspicion? I want to share it with us because it's not a spoiler if none of us know, and if we turn out to be right, then it's like, or oh, who knows? Maybe one of the law-bearing nobles. Absolutely, because this is for the country. Yeah. You said I was thinking it might be the emperor too. Also, suddenly looks at that little girl. Meat Bun, you better not. No, Meat Bun. No. Ad. Okay. So he said, I think he's definitely from Chonghua. Yes, I wish I had the book here with me to like read that specific line. I don't know why it's not in my notes to elaborate on why I thought he emphasizes he endured criticism for here it is. The intruder was emphasizing that Morsi endured severe criticism for a traitor in our midst. And that was him not saying that's what the nobles said, but that is just what he said. That's why I felt that way. Okay, it wasn't my notes. I just skipped over it and read it wrong. So now let's go really quickly through all of the theories that had been theorized from who knows when. up till volume 5. So the first, well, they're not in order necessarily, I don't think, but the first theory was that Gumang was the purification beast, or there was a certain link between him and the purification beast. Haven't gotten an answer on that yet. The next one was a theory that I had, was the origin of black magic having to do with Chonghua. I was correct on that. Very happy. Third theory was that Mu Zhonglian was in love with Gumang. That was very much incorrect. And then the next theory on Mu Zhonglian's feelings was that it's possible that he actually never hated Gumang in the first place, but was just I mean, that's not really like a theory, but anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Next theory is the ring's role. Like, more than it being a healthy monitor thingy, it's possibly tied to Mu Zhonglian attempting to shield him. We don't have all the answers on that. I also have here that I thought maybe it was tied to like his beastly nature, like maybe the ring could, I don't know, keep it under wraps or something. Don't have answers on that yet. Then we have the theory that Princess Mengza knows that it's Gumang that Morsi loves. Probably she does. I also had the theory that the Guoshu was going to give away Gumang's identity, and he did. So that was correct. My theory also that Auntie Lean was the person that Mu Zhongshan was in love with. That was also correct. Very, very happy. So now my new theory from reading this is that the new mystery black clad man is a member of Chonghua. Or he could be like a spy, I guess, from the Liao Kingdom posing as a member of Chonghua. But that's the last theory. So some of those were right. Some of those, one of those was wrong, deeply wrong. And then some we haven't figured out yet. Also on page 275, there was yet another reference of Moth to Flame. It has happened in multiple books. So, he said John Yesha for life, though. Yep. I'm always against you. Hydrate, get your well. Thank you. Thank you. NFS, I appreciate you so much because I just been talking for 2 hours and 36 minutes without a single sip. Shame on me. And now I have to talk a little bit more because now that we have finished volume 5, actually, no, we're still not going to read the summary. I want to talk about Lanar's condition because I said I had a lot to say about this girl, and then I'll officially be done before we just read the summary. So with Lanar's condition, we have number one, that she is overly strong. She has this overly strong spiritual core versus like her fragile body. And in cultivation terms, it's like her having this really immense talent or this immense potential, not talent, but she is lacking in the physical structure to stabilize it. In a neurodivergent like parallel, there are a lot of children whose cognitive or emotional sensitivity is heightened, but their nervous systems can be easily overstimulated. Then next we have like triggers and flare-ups. So her heart madness worsens when she faces emotional blows, and the emotional blows that she always faces are mockery and bullying from other people. And then after that, she like explodes. It was a weird sound. She explodes and lashes out and hurts people. And it kind of reminded me, not literally of like physically hurting people, not saying that this happens, although I don't know, maybe it does, but this reminded me of the autism spectrum disorder, which I hate that it's called a disorder, but I understand like depending on the scale of the spectrum, yes. But there are people who have different levels of autism, which I think about Good Doctor. And whenever the main character faced like some kind of criticism, or if things weren't going his way, then he would just like explode, because it was like being this like rejection or ridicule or having some adversity was too overstimulating. And so it would cause like meltdowns and shutdowns and everything. Of course, again, depending on one spectrum. And so that was something that I was like, okay. But then, like, also the emotional dysregulation, I guess, could be seen like in relating to like ADHD or like certain mood disorders. Like the emotions just hit harder and can be a little bit more difficult to self-regulate. And then we have, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I think it's just like just such a creative way that Meat Bun is. I'm not sure like if that was what was on her mind, but addressing like mental disorders, or neurodivergency, whichever. And so then we have this whole monster label and social exclusion thing. So of course, like we know she was being called a monster by the little kids and probably by some adults as well, for things that were beyond her control. And it kind of reminds me of how a lot of times, especially depending on what kind of neurodivergency people have, that they get ostracized, on a consistent basis from people around them, especially the younger we are and we don't understand things as children and whatnot. And so then we have, like her inability to thrive in the academy, reflecting on how traditional schooling environments can be hostile to children with special needs. And of course, now we have like an arena where there are teachers who specifically teach to those with special needs, of course. But in a lot of cases, I know that there are many parents out there who feel that it is safer to homeschool their children rather than let them go out into public. Um, and then we have Jiang Yeshue's care for the little girl. So removing her from the environment and like offering her protection, like I said, is similar to what a parent would do to help support their child. And so when looking at all of those things, I think the most likely conditions that she has probably is going to be autism. It's between autism and I guess ADHD, but I still lean more toward the autism just because of like the sensitivity to the social rejection and mockery, or like any the things going like the adversity. Yeah, that's what I'll say. Also the overwhelming flare-ups and stuff like that. And also the exceptionally strong innate gift, but having difficulty functioning in rigid environments. Not to say that like, oh yes, all autistic people are exceptionally talented, but a lot of times those like people in society who are exceptionally talented or who are seen as geniuses are often put into the boxes of having some kind of disorder. So you said, and yeah, it's a loop. hmm so that is something that I had mentioned a few volumes ago that I really wanted to dig into, but I was like, we'll do it later as we get more into the story. So I think that if this was her intention, that Meat Bun's approach to putting someone with like a disorder in her books is really creative. And I know that in case file compendium, whatever, I've heard that the main character, he also has some kind of disorder. It's a made up disorder or whatever, but I mean like this one. But I'd be interested to see what his disorder like relates to, which in all honesty, also I was told by people that that story in particular is the most smutty one. So just I'll have to see. I'm still thinking about it. That might be something that I read only on Patreon because I don't mind like editing out the smut scenes and stuff for you all. But if it's a lot, then I'm just like, okay, this is something that'll just be exclusive for Patreon because I do not want to deal with that. But anyway, we'll get to that at another point. Meat Bun's not on the agenda at all for next year. Um so yes. Then we're not done with Lanar though, because I talked about Lanar and Gumang's relationship is, just like this adorable little girl and this grown man, but like in the most innocent way possible, or this wolf gaga. So there are a lot of parallels between Lanar and Gumang that I want to talk about. But first, let me read. You say, I appreciate Jiang Yeshui. Yes. On only that one thing about Lanar. Yeah, I do appreciate that. So that like I feel like at heart, Jiang Yeshui is probably a good person. And there's an area in his life in which he was not a good person, and I just need to know what it was. Or whatever it is. um You said, yeah, John Yeshua fostering Yeshua, eyes Yeshua, and fostering the girl meat bun. You better not. Also, if we go with neurodivergent hypothesis, Moshi fits too. He absolutely does. He's definitely. I guess I just never got into that. Hyperfixation helps neurodivergent people get really good in very narrow fields in a way too. Absolutely. Um, y'all, yes. Yeah. Oh, speaking of hyperfixation, which that may change because I'm not gonna start watching it on October the 10th, obviously, because I don't want to watch one episode a week. But the final season of MHA comes out on the 10th, and I've been hyper fixated on that since I first watched it in February of last year. Like I know people have been fans for years, but I had only found out about it last February and I hyper fixated on that thing so bad. Like I rewatched it and rewatched it and rewatched it and I read fan fiction. Like if you look at my list on my Excel sheet of fan fictions I've read, it's all MHA. And then there's like a sprinkle of SVSSS or something else in there. Um, and then it's even gotten to the point where like the stories that I be creating on Chat GPT are all in MHA, even now. But I think I'm starting to like finally get out of it a little bit because the last two fanfics I read, I haven't been able to finish them. And it's not because they weren't good. I just kind of felt like, okay, I think I'm okay now. But like I still make the stories with the main characters or whatever. So I think I'm kind of falling out of that hyperfixation, but it's just funny to see because I was like, man, I was hyperfixated for a long time. But I get hyperfixated on things like very badly. I don't know, when I like something, I just like something and I need to hear it or see it a whole bunch of times. Like now, apparently it's Epic the Musical, which is really difficult for me because Epic the Musical is like it's like 40 songs, right? And there are people that I hear that are like, oh, this is my favorite song and that's my favorite song. And I'll just listen to them on my playlist. And there's a part of me, like, I tried it yesterday and I'm like, how am I listening to like this one song and not just re-listening to the entire thing over again? So I've only known about Epic for like 3 weeks now, and I've already listened to it 5 times because it's hard for me to listen to just one song and be like, oh, this is my favorite, and not listen to the whole story again. And I pay attention every single time. So like I can't memorize lyrics as fast or like the melodies and stuff because I'm listening to everything again instead of just like listening to like one or two. But I'm so obsessed with it right now and I'm going to be reading the Odyssey. Like I have the Odyssey, so I'm going to read it just to see, like, because I forgot what like matches and what doesn't match. But I love hyperfixating on things. Like even a particular song, um, I can't remember the name, but it's the one with Cersei and just her intro into the I'm going to find it really quickly. Hold on. Okay, it's not Puppeteer. Yeah, Puppeteer. I literally, not even the whole song. There's like a specific 15 seconds just yesterday I was listening to, and I listened to that same 15 seconds like 15 times. And it's just the part where she's like, come inside, go ahead and or something like that. I literally just listened to those seconds over and over and over and over again because I was like, I like the way it sounds. Did you hear how she did that? Listen. I was like, so yeah, that's my new hyperfixation at the moment. Anyway, you said don't even it's soda pop for me. So I've actually never seen that or heard that. But well actually I heard a tiny bit of it, but not the whole song. Epic the musical is very awesome. Yeah, it is. Oh my god. So to get back on topic, because I don't have a lot of time left, parallels between Lanar and Gumang. Number one, they are both branded monsters by society. So obviously, Lanar is mocked at the academy and other children, calling her a monster because of her condition. Meanwhile, Gumang, not necessarily the word monster, but beast of the altar, but branded as a traitor, and he's hated by the world for his betrayal that he never committed. But both of them are being judged for things that even though some things were within Gumong's control, I'm going to say things that were outside of their control. Because yes, Gumong made a choice as far as what the emperor is concerned with, but the emperor carrot sticked him, you know. So he's already got such low like feelings on his own worth in regards to like how he should be treated, you know, everything that he's endured from abuse mentally and verbally and everything. So he was carrot sticked into that situation. And then, of course, we go to like point number two: extraordinary gifts equals misunderstood. Lanar's spiritual core is almost as strong as Morsi's. Her body just can't handle it at the moment, and she needs help with that. And it leads to her heart madness. And then we have Gumong, which is clearly he's a military genius. Other than when Lu Jianxing finally had the Zhenglong chess piece put into him that caused a loss, Gumong had never suffered a loss before because he was so great at what he did. But he was, you know, used as a pawn, as a weapon, and everyone just feels the way they feel about him. So both of them have tragedy in the gifts that they have, and they become more as like burdens. His amazing gift of military prowess impressed the emperor so much, and his loyalty impressed the emperor so much that now he's had the burden of doing what he had to do. Um, Number three, there is sensitivity to emotion and like loyalty at the core. So Lanar, obviously, she has her emotional blows that causes like her flare-ups or whatever, and her pain is really tied to how others treat her. But even I remember her liking Gumong in the beginning and then being sad because, you know, Gumong didn't want to talk to her. And then when she saw Gumong being picked on when he was at the Warrior Soul Mountain, she stood up for him still anyway. And then seeing him again in the future, it was like everything that happened before. He was like, hey, it's Gumong Gaga again. So yay. Then we have Gumong, who has his mental torture has done quite some things to him, I will say, emotionally. Even though he reacts in his own way, he's very sensitive, very, very much sensitive. And then, of course, this erasure and the things that are happening now, you know, he almost broke. But even with all of that, he's so loyal to the core. Like even when Joe Hood was trying to remove those memories, he was holding on to them, you know, and just he never protested when he had his memories and was being taken to the Asura room. So very loyal person. Then moving on to point number four of how they are like parallel, the need for a safe space and understanding. I mean, everybody needs that, but they need it. So Lanar, of course, has Jiang Yeshui, who is taking her from the toxic environment to live with him in a place where she won't be ridiculed and hopefully can improve. And then Gumong, safe is a loose word because when it first starts out, obviously, yes, he's safe there. He's not having people try to beat him or scold him or, you know, like have sex with him against his will. Even though Morsi like lashed out at him verbally sometimes, it was still a safer place than being at Luome Pavilion. And then finally, at some point early on, you know, in volume three, Morsi was like, okay, there's more to the story. I'm insisting on finding out the truth so I can protect Gumag. So he's his safe place as well. Even though the world is condemning him, even though the world is condemning her, they both have safe places in one person, you know. And it's kind of, or it's the same like group of people as well that they're all connected to, you know, like the Yue Chanqing, Morsi, Jiang Yeshui, Gumang, like they're just their own little bubble of people. And then number five, of course, societal rejection and chosen family acceptance is what I call it. So both of the characters, again, we see how the society is quick to cast them out because of some things they don't know. They are literally ignorant and things they don't understand, of course. But they're finding, hopefully, Lanar, hopefully, Gumang, finding healing in these people and hopefully like found family. So that was all I just wanted to share on the parallel about Lanar and then the parallels between her and Gumong because yeah. Let's see. Oh, I have not. How? Because I have other things going on. You know, there are a lot of things that I haven't seen or heard just because of the way my life works. I just I don't know. And isn't that who is it by again, or what is it from? Hold on. Yeah. So if there's one thing I've learned about myself is a lot of times I don't really care to see something or hear something that like everyone is on in the moment that they're on it. It might take me a minute to get to it. Like MHA. MHA has been around for years. I just got on it, or that's just the kind of person I am. I haven't had the interest. Everybody's been raving and talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. Man, when it happens, maybe I'll love it and everything. Then, and even Epic, this has been out for a while now, or people have been on it for a while, and now I'm finally getting to it. That's that's just how I am. But yeah, at some point in life, maybe I'll watch the K-pop Demon Hunters. We'll see. You said carrot sticked into a situation. Yes. Um, you said I would totally watch you react to it. Yeah, I don't know if I know someone mentioned before like how we should do this celebration and they were like maybe you could do a reaction to something. And I don't know cuz I was watching Danny Mata react to Epic the Musical, which don't get me wrong, that's like a whole nother level compared to regular shows. But I was like, I don't know if like I'd be a good reactor. I don't know, but we'll see. So anyway, really quickly, because I've got some things that I need to like discuss, but we also need to read the Hubbada Bubbada. You guys know that when I don't know what to say, I call things Hubbada Bubbada. Okay. She said, don't mind me. It's my hyperfixation now. So I will gush about it and shove it into everyone's faces. No, shove it into my face. I may not like do it, watch it, but shove it into my face. So this is the cover, minus that, of volume 6. Isn't this beautiful? Like, isn't this gorgeous? Oh my gosh. So amazing. Okay. No, let me stop sharing. Let's read the summary on the back. I know. Honestly, this is some of my favorite art. The covers of YuWu are some of my favorite art because they're just absolutely stunning. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. So the cover, the summary, dark before the dawn. As Gumang's mind continues to deteriorate. Wait, it's still don't still. He and Mosi set out for the prefecture of Lin An, hoping to find a legendary sage with the ability to summon Gumang's missing souls. Chances of success are vanishingly small, but Morsi is unwilling to give up any hope of restoring his beloved to health. Upon arrival, however, Morsi and Gumang find no such fabled sage, but a familiar face, Muzhong Chuyi, who has arrived with the rest of the Yue clan, including Yue Chengqing and the estranged Jiang Yeshui, to complete a perilous blood ritual. What begins as a chance encounter soon turns deadly as Morsi stumbles across one of the clan's darkest and most deeply buried secrets. Does it have something to do with? I mean, not. You said I think it's ST. Yes, it is. Yep, it's ST. Love ST's work. Um, if it's not mistaken or someone else entirely. Nope, it's ST. Love their art. Although I will say, well, no, I won't say because I'm gonna save that. So the thing that I need to talk to you guys about really quick before I have to go is this 1,000 subscriber celebration. So calendar. I'm actually moving. Like we signed a lease to some place on the 10th, which is next Friday. But our lease here ends on the 17th, where we currently are. So I'm moving, just so you all know. But I still want the celebration to be done this month. So I was looking at Sunday, October 19th, to do our 1K celebration. And I think this may be my favorite cover. It is among one of my favorites. But I was thinking October the 19th could be the day where we do the celebration. You guys let me know how you feel about that. It is a Sunday, but I wanted that to be the day. And I've been doing a lot of like thinking on what we'll do. So I have created a Don May quiz for us. Oh my God. The goal is to also do some cover ratings of the books we've read specifically on the channel, and then narrow it down to like the top 5 or so covers. Maybe 10. What else do I want to do? Oh, play a game, but I'm still trying to work on like the camera situation so you guys can see me and the game below. We're also going to do fan art. I have been receiving fan art from you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Please keep sending it. Oddly enough, we've got like 16 pieces of fan art already, so that's nice. But or if you know someone who does art and you don't want to do it, they can submit. They do not have to be on my channel. They do not have to listen to me at all. I don't care. Just submit the fan art. Okay. What else? I'm trying to remember everything that we're supposed to be doing. I think that's pretty much it. But I'm super excited about it. I'm grateful to each and every single one of you for every single like, subscribe, comment, donation monetarily, or paying for a subscription. I'm very, very grateful. And I appreciate you all so much. And I hope that I continue to put out work that you will be eager to like read. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll be doing that on the 19th, Sunday the 19th, which honestly, before that, it looks like we may be doing a chapter recap, volume 6 recap. Yeah, so Saturday the 18th is going to be volume 6 recap, because I know we're going to have it finished by then, because that's a 2-week period. And then Sunday we'll have the subscriber celebration. So I think that was all I wanted to say to you all. Yes, that was it. Thank you all so much. You said it all sounds great, honestly. Yay! Covers YuWu would be all top 5. Probably. And then you deserve all this, Mari. Thank you so much, Anne. But it's been such a joy and such a pleasure. And as much as I'd like to linger here, I can't, because the live session has started just now. And so I need to go be live some more. But I'm not running that live. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your. Is it the weekend? It's the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you all again on Monday or Tuesday when we open up volume 6. So again, if you guys have any questions for me and stuff, you can always put go watercolor, eat your fruit. Are you my mom? Yes, ma'am. I'll go do it. NFS. I will go do it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I don't know. I will. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. And I hope you have a fantabulous day. And saranghae wa ainiman.